We have Alexandra Mertz, board and governance. You got James, advanced answers, stock analysis and finance. Søren Basher will be joining us later, finance and robotics. And Larry Goldberg's here as well, business and energy. And then we've got Nick Gibbs joining us as well, investing and stock analysis. So welcome, everybody. Appreciate everybody joining today.
Great to be here.
Oh my God, Nick, did you get a haircut?
I did get a haircut.
Oh,
Yes.
How is your mood, Nick? How is your mood? You're always the one that's pivoting, so tell us.
Well, now it's bad. No,
Now it's bad. Oh, wow.
no, it's good. It's a great day.
Nick, you look
Well,
even
it's a
young.
sad day, actually.
You look even younger. I mean, how young can you get?
Well, I'll take that as a compliment.
Raging.
Yeah.
How old
No,
are you, Nick? Tell us.
35.
You don't look 35.
Jeez,
Thank you.
that's unbelievable.
I
My
know.
son-
But
Age.
no, it's
Have you
actually
got
kind of a
20
sad day on my end over here. I think most of you know I work at AWS, and we had 16,000 layoffs today, so lost a lot of friends.
Oh,
Wow.
sorry.
No,
about
you
that.
didn't lose friends. You lost colleagues, but you kept the friends.
I
Yes,
like
that's
that. That's good. I like that, Alexander.
Yeah.
How many
Well,
in
let's-
total? How many total people at AWS? 16,000 sounds like an awful lot.
So we did another 16,000 back in October. So that takes us to 32,000. So AWS alone has probably like 120, maybe 150,000 people roughly. AWS has like Amazon has like 1.5
Amazon,
million.
yeah,
Yeah. So-
but who's counting? You know,
Yeah. Sorry to hear that, Nick, but let's get started with Tesla. James, do you want to kick us off on what you're expecting for the day?
Yeah, it's always tricky. We might as well start with a chart to let us know, because a lot of people know, should they buy right now or not? And I always like to look at where we are, where we've come from. And before, I just got to get a little pet peeve out of my way. You got a lot of people saying, oh, Tesla's been dead money the last 5 years. Well, if you bought Tesla 5.7 years ago, it was $17 and it hit nearly 500. So no, it's all about when you time your buys. And that's why this chart is very nice to look at over the last 5 years. It shows you all the layers of support and resistance. It shows you where we've come from, where we've gone. And by the way, my favorite thing to trade is a volatile beast like this, because it's pretty easy to nail tops and bottoms. Now, looking at the chart today and trying to figure out where we are going next is tricky, because there's so many catalysts, and we can get to the 2026 catalysts later and other things. But right now, the trend is just turning up. It was very clear. Last time we were on, Herbert, actually, I said it was a clear short at $4.99 to hedge Tesla, and that worked out perfectly. But now what happens next? So the sentiment is so low for the earnings, and everything is kind of priced in. Fed didn't do anything today. We know the only way probably from here is up, and the chart tends to say that too. It's been struggling trying to get below 430, 432 for a long time, and it tends not to go down that level. It did hit 411 a couple of times a few weeks ago, and since then, it's just under accumulation. So from the chart perspective here, and I know 70% of earnings calls, Tesla sells off afterwards, but this time could be different. It'll all hinge on the forward guidance, the mood that Elon is in, what he says about all the catalysts like semi, FSD uptake, robotaxi scaling, etc., and the SpaceX dream, which probably is not going to happen. So that's the way I see it right now.
Are you expecting a jump then after the call? You
I
said
expect it immediately. Normally, when the results come out, it sells off, and then the deck is digested. And then it takes TradFi about 3 days to understand exactly what's in the deck, where we'll decipher that and distill it down in half an hour for you all. But typically, a sell-off will happen. But if the guidance is really strong, the 6 massive catalysts I see for 2026 we'll dig into later. If the world can wrap their head around what's coming this year and next, it should go up from 430.
Are you willing to share what trade you made this morning?
Yeah, I sold a bunch of puts and bought a bunch of calls. 400 strike were the calls, and the puts were a little higher. So break even on the trade is $441 by December 2027. So I got 2 years for the price of Tesla to be above 441, which is $7 from where we are now.
Yeah, sounds pretty good. Okay, let's go with you, Alexandra. What are you expecting from Elon and the board and the executives? You're on mute.
Of course, good start. I actually don't expect much today. I think we heard a lot from Elon on his different stages and where we are with Robotaxi. He was a little bit too optimistic for the year end where Robotaxi deployment would be. So I don't expect him to, go much further in his predictions. I think this is going to be one of those relatively muted calls. What I'm looking for is on these earnings call, the difference between GAAP and non-GAAP, because that will give us a first indication on how much they have now accounted for employee stock options, including Elon's. I think that's going to be very interesting because since we all voted in November to give them more or less green light to do anything they wanted, plus the Tornetta decision in December, this opened the floodgates to a lot of accounting here. So I want to see how they did that. The other thing I'm looking in the immediate is free cash flow. I think free cash flow is going to be tough this year because there's going to be so much investments in GPUs and other things that, Tesla is expanding like the craziest startup ever. So I want to see how they micromanage to still have some free cash flow if they do, because that's going to be a hard landing to get that right. And overall Q4 and all 2026 quarters. And then I'm very much looking forward to the 10K. So I actually checked half an hour ago how quickly they publish the SEC findings. So those are the edited accounts, and there is so much more information in the 10Ks. I mean, any investor that takes it seriously really should take half a day to read the 10Ks. And so that is coming out sometimes the same day. Last year, they managed to do it the same day. So maybe that happens again this year. In the years prior, it was between 2 and 7 days after the call. So last year was the same day. So that is going to be a much better source of detailed information for deferred FSD revenue, because that's another thing to watch, right? There's still a couple of billions lying around that have to be at one point accounted for. Obviously not all only in the United States, but does that start now to melt down or not? The recognition of those FSD revenues. The other one, obviously stock options. We will have in the 10K much more indication how they're starting to allocate those stock option possibilities they have now. And in the 10K, we will also have a lot of news about ongoing litigation. So I am, I'm always excited to listen to the earnings call, but I'm sort of non-expectant. I don't expect any big news. I have one of those questions, and maybe Larry can help me. I still don't understand why he wants to bring SpaceX public. So that first question sort of bothers me because I'm sort of not done yet with the whole, reasoning why he would do that and why Tesla investors feel they have some privilege or whatever. So whatever it is, I'm going to listen, but I don't expect much from today. That's my message.
Can I respond to that, Herbert?
Please.
So the reason SpaceX is going to go public is because it pretty much has to. We're moving into a completely new era for SpaceX, an era that's going to be incredibly capital intensive. And SpaceX's cash flow, while pretty damn good compared to previous years, is nowhere near the challenge that it now faces. SpaceX is about to launch at least 2 new businesses, on top of launching the largest flying object ever made at a capital investment that is staggering. They are building currently 4 launch pads. They have one that is just completed. They're building 4 more launch pads, each of which probably consume about $1 billion to $1.5 billion by the time they're all done. They're building 2 rocket factories, the largest rocket factories ever built, to manufacture, each of them to manufacture roughly a Starship every couple of hours, the largest rocket ever built. And the amount of capital that it's going to consume, while staggering, is nothing compared to the amount of capital that they're going to have to shepherd together to put a data center into the sky. I'm not even talking about Starlink, because Starlink is already cash flow positive. It's the one business that's delivering really strong cash flow. Cash flows in the past at SpaceX have been pretty marginal in the kind of dollars we're talking about now. So there's absolutely no doubt at all in my mind that they're going to have to raise a minimum of $25 billion. That's not small change. That is a massive IPO. It's going to be one of the biggest IPOs ever. They may have to raise more than that. That 25 billion is if they really scrimp, save, and cut the corners and do all the things SpaceX do. They may go for more than that. They may go for as much as double that. So there's no doubt in my mind that a real IPO is really necessary. And if you look at the cash flow, the negative potential, the curve goes very steep after July this year, or well, after August this year, it really goes steep. So I think this is absolutely the right moment, and the the market is really, really hungry for IPOs. This can open the floodgates for IPOs, which is the reason the banks are very active.
I saw a betting market saying that it's like 80% plus chance that the IPO will happen. And not only will SpaceX IPO, but it'll happen in June because it's Elon's birthday and it's some sort of planetary alignment.
There's always a planetary alignment, by the way. One kind or another. That's not.
I wanted to ask the panel here, let's go around table. How likely is it that it's not going to be a SpaceX IPO, but some sort of SpaceX Tesla reverse merger or something like that? Is it 0% chance that it'll be a Tesla SpaceX involvement, or is there some percentage chance? What do you think, Larry? Let's go down the list there. Oh,
I think it's zero. I think Elon has made up his mind. He's brought in the five major banks that are the banks that can do the heavy lift on an IPO. None of them want complications. They've dealt with complications with Elon before. I think they want a very, 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 very clean IPO, because it's not only important for SpaceX, it's important for them, for the future of the IPO market. I think that's a very big consideration for them, and I think they have the means to put the kind of pressure on.
Alexandra?
I have no means of, seeing how this could go. But if Larry's right, and I do believe he's right on the amounts, if this happens, it could not be just a reverse merger with Tesla. I mean, that doesn't bring enough cash in the pockets. And if he's right that this is going through the standard big banks, they won't let that happen because this is their cake. So probably
close to zero.
And do remember when we had that Bill Ackman proposal, he clearly said at one moment, "Stop this all! We're not cutting corners." So that's it. We're not cutting corners.
Okay, James.
Never going to happen. It's too complex, too stupid, doesn't fulfill the original people that invested in SpaceX anyway, and it dilutes too many franchises and puts too much of a target on Elon. Stupid idea. That was one of the things that when Chamath came out with that, I was like, dude, what are you drinking? You in the Amalfi Coast pounding a few bottles of wine? That doesn't make any sense. Here we are.
Well, Tesla investors want to, this is the number one question. Nick.
First of all, pounding wine on the Amalfi Coast makes a lot of sense to me. And I think, if anything, Tesla will be part of the IPO in the sense where they will maybe put 5 or 10 billion into it. I think that makes a lot more sense, and that fulfills the promise to investors. And I think you also wouldn't want it because if, God forbid, there's another, Lena Khan, Wrath of Khan 2.0, they would be screwed and it get way too political. And finally, I think July 4th makes more sense.
250th birthday. That's true.
Jeff?
I thought this was a Tesla earnings call.
Yeah, let's answer that. Well,
Which is why I hate that first question.
This is
That's why
the
I hate it.
very first question, so we needed to address it. That they're
The
going
market
to
is
answer.
closed on July the 4th.
Jeff, you can
I
answer
think-
this question, and then you can go into your own
I
intro
want
of
to talk about
earnings.
vacation spots too.
Your
Yeah.
volume seems a little
I think-
quiet.
All right, Herbert, just one thing after another. I think they're going to invest, and it's going to be some nominal amount. I don't imagine some huge tie up at day one. There are overlaps, but I think it would be too messy. I think there's a clean IPO coming for SpaceX, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some form of Tesla involvement, given future convergence and what's happening with data center.
And can I add that first question will never be answered? I mean, there's no way he can answer that question.
I agree with all the above, but we seem to burn these questions with such abandon. It just disturbs me. There's so many good questions we could ask.
Exactly.
We end up asking the questions that he can't answer, or that he has answered many times.
Just to update everybody, we are doing the pre-show right now. In about 10 minutes, Tesla will drop their financials deck. We'll dive deep into that and give you guys our analysis on that. And then at 2:30 Pacific time, the official event will launch. We'll live stream it here, and then we'll do a post-show analysis.
Can I
James?
just
Yeah.
add? Can
Go
I
ahead.
just add one last comment? One last thought, because the SpaceX IPO keeps occupying my brain. I think he will do it before the midterms. I think that there's currently a favorable political climate that he has to use for major strategic moves, and this is one of them.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's a good call.
James, did you want to set the stage for Q4, or did you want to move to Q1? You're on mute.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things more about setting the stage for 2026, because people are, they don't know whether if they have no position, should they start a position? Should they wait for a crash to $200 or $100? And I just like to talk about some of the broad topics that I see that are very important for the future. So we could jump in there, and then we could drill down into who's actually buying the stock. There's very interesting data there, how short interest has changed quarter over quarter, and everything else. But let's start with slide 9, which I'd love for the panel to sound in on. Well, you can control the slides. Good. This one. These are what I call the big 2026 catalysts that I think are very important. Obviously, Robotaxi Cybercab, that's ramping really fast. Thank you for covering my tweet the other day in a video, Herbert. FSD and autonomy, I think the uptake for FSD will be incredible. All the non-believers I know who never believed in FSD have gone out and bought Model Ys, and now they don't drive anymore. Literally in the space of a month, the flip has been incredible from anecdotal evidence. Optimus ramp, Fremont scaling to maybe 1 million per year. Lots of rumors out there as well about all the parts and suppliers that have been contracted with. The megapack business, the big hyperscalers begin to understand they get more bang for their electricity buck, which is a bottleneck, by buying megapacks. That's going to be huge. The new semi, not to be understated, shout out to Bill Gates, who said it would never be possible. And then the rest, the convergence and the synergy across the Musk industries, I think are huge, very big right now. So they're kind of the big, and we can drill into any of these or all of them at the same time. But I think these are the big topics for 2026 that are going to hit in 2026. There may not be retail sale of Optimus robots, as we learned from the Davos event, but they are definitely going to be deploying them in their own factories, may already be doing so for productive labor, and there'll be a lot more of that coming very quickly. Thoughts?
I have one thought. I think we're missing what may become a very important catalyst, and it is around AI5, the progress towards AI5, the possibility of a chip fab announcement.
Yes. Well, I didn't put that in. I didn't put that in purposely because this is only talking 2026 catalysts. I don't think any of that is going to hit and have any material impact in the year 2026. 2027, yes, we agree, but not this year.
I think the announcement, though, could come this year, and I think the announcement could be in itself a catalyst, particularly if the announcement is tied with the SpaceX announcement. That's just, I may be right.
Yeah, and I've done the math on that. Is like, what happens if Tesla could match NVIDIA around future chip scale, AI5, AI6, 7, 8, space, Optimus, cars, Dojo 3 is back. That basically adds $1,500 to the stock price in 2 years. That's the craziness of the numbers behind this. But over to you guys. Jeff,
Oh, how you doing?
what are we missing?
I mean, just a couple of comments, like the boring thing of kind of where most of their earnings are coming from today, which is to me more of a present value thing, not a future value thing. I actually think they're going to be flat to slightly up on vehicles. That'll be interesting, including the Cybercab. It'd be interesting to see what they say about that. For whatever reason, there's a lot of the analyst community hangs on that. I think part of it is cash to fund, the rest of these endeavors in the business. So I see flat to slightly up. And just a couple other comments. I think there's negative pressure it's happening in every downward pressure in every single region. If you look at it from an incentives perspective of what's happening in China as of January 1st, there's a reduction in incentives. Of course, in the US, what's happened, and in Western Europe. However, I think it's an interesting thing because that's all that gets discussed about Tesla in context of EVs is the loss of incentives. But what's under discussed is the retrenchment of all the existing Western European auto manufacturers and US auto manufacturers from EV production. And quite frankly, an undercurrent and real economic trouble and fracture for several of the big names in China. It's what's easy for the media to do is count number of units and say China is great and perfect and dominating. And part of that is infiltrated in terms of the media and sponsorship and so forth. A lot of it isn't real. I mean, when you go under, look a couple layers deep, there's real economic problems with some of the major Chinese EV auto manufacturers. There's been a lot of intervention from the CCP. So just anyway, auto units, I know kind of a boring conversation, but I think, a little bit more commentary of what I see on that.
Yeah, and two things to add to that, Jeff. You're dead right. We've gone from the competition is coming to the competition has left the building, with the exception of BYD selling $10,000 cars, but they're not in the same market. And the second thing, we now have beneath price parity for things like the Model Y. Try find a car on the market that can do what that car can do, even remotely close to that price. It's not possible. True?
Yes, and the other quick comment on BYD is as they've grown their units, their income has reduced, and their income per vehicle has reduced, and their gross margins have reduced. So that tells you that there was underlying issues with channel inventory, with cash conversion, with how they're essentially running their business. And when they had to start paying suppliers, they ran into issues. I just think for this call, the setup for this call is Elon's mood. It should be quite good. In the last couple of weeks, he's literally talked about double-digit GDP growth happening over the next 12 to 18 months, which could be at one point of this year. So if you're remember in 2022, he was projecting darker times for the economy, and some of that came to fruition. And now he's talking about double-digit GDP growth. So if you're projecting double-digit GDP growth, you're probably coming in overall in a decent mood. And he's in the zone. He's back at his companies. He's building. So I actually think he's going to be in a pretty solid mood. And in terms of his future projections, I'd have to think that they're quite positive. I do think there needs to be a reckoning and more near-term milestones of what's happening with Robotaxi, because I think a lot of the investment community takes what he says as verbatim, writes them down in a spreadsheet, and when they're not hit, it's like, hey, you said this and this happened. What you'll hear me talk about is these things that have never been done before in the world, and the way that Tesla is doing them, there's going to be some guard band around that. So it'll be interesting to see what he talks about in terms of the state of the acceleration of robotaxi and deployment. We've seen some acceleration in the last week, but I think there needs to get into a little bit more near-term commentary of more near-term milestones on that. And I'll pause.
Thanks,
Good
Jeff.
stuff.
Yep. So in about a minute or so, sometimes it's about 2 or 3 minutes after the hour, that's when we'll see a download version, and we'll take a look at the PDF. Anybody else want to make comments?
One risk that I think we should consider is that there may be a layoff round that Elon announces in this call.
I agree with you. I was thinking about that. It's usually a little bit later, right? It's between February and April. Usually he does it. So.
Right. It's not normally in the first quarter, but I mean, it's 2 years since the last big layoff round, and he is a creature of habit.
Yeah, and there will be one. It's just, I mean, he believes in this type of management where there is at least once a year clean out. Sometimes overreaching, he rehiring people, but it happens. It happens regularly. You're right.
Anybody have
one
any
more quick
predictions for
comment.
Q4? Yeah.
Oh, just one more quick comment just on energy. In Davos, Elon said we're reaching a point this year where there's going to be not enough power to light up the GPUs that are under production and on their way for delivery. That's a critical turning point for this industry. It may come up on the other Mag 7 Meta Microsoft calls as well. That could be a critical turning point, and have, if that turns into, that is a bottleneck coming. That could be, I don't know if it's going to be as much of a Tesla, it may come up on the Tesla call, but it just speaks to the pressure on Tesla Energy to scale up that Houston factory and to scale up LFP production in the US.
Yeah, watching that Tesla Energy revenue is going to be quite important.
Yeah, my question on that one is, what was the transfer pricing from Tesla to XAI for the 500 megapacks? Did they charge full whack or discounted rate?
They've got to show that the price that they sold to their related company or their shareholder related company was at equivalent to the rates that they sold to other large clients. So it would be very difficult for them to do anything else.
Hey, real quick, just this is just kind of breaking. Tesla started informing customers through sales advisors that there was a mislabeling of AP45, meaning there is currently no hardware 4.5. All vehicles delivered today have AI4, hardware 4. Tesla will update all labels, etc., to eliminate any confusion moving forward.
Yeah, that was about time. I mean, that was such a mess.
So
Good.
there is
That's
no
over.
4.5. Okay.
Nope.
No, that's just as well.
Sometimes retail analysts are too analytic.
Work in a factory and tell me how that happened. Anyway, I can see it happening, by the way, if there were 2 SKUs and just one not ready for production, but I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happened behind the curtain on that one. Anyway, earnings are imminent here. Looks like Microsoft just smashed EPS, by the way. And looks like Meta did as well, FYI.
It's good for the whole space. And also S&P 500 broke 7,000 today as well. And the Fed had no impact on things, which is good.
But we're not expecting good news for Q4 2025, right, for Tesla?
No. 44 cents, 45 cents, and that'll be seen.
That's even high end. I think it could be even as low as 40 cents, and that's still okay.
It depends. There's some surprise kickers. FSD uptake is pure margin, Megapack, a lot of margin there. That could offset the weakness in the cars.
Have you guys allowed for the reduction in the value of the crypto?
Oh,
that's going to go straight to the bottom line.
It does. But I mean, again, just calling that to everybody else who reads those now, don't look at the GAAP number, look at the non-GAAP number. The difference is mainly how much now they are allocating in stock options. Is not real cash. That is policy and politics. So let's wait for the 10K until we understand more of that. But don't worry about that difference when it comes out now. Just concentrate on the non-GAAP for the moment.
And then Nick, you're following closely what's happening with the stock, and what's your prediction?
Give me 1 second. I'm trying to hear what they're saying on CNBC.
Oh, it is here. Oh, man.
Got the deck.
It's there. You got it?
Or I'm afraid it can't do that. It's not. It says it's there, but it's not.
Yeah.
Or else
it
the
says it's-
system is crashing because
Same with me. Yeah.
we're all doing the same thing, trying to grab it.
Yeah. It says it's there, but it's not.
Sometimes you can right mouse click the link and save link as,
I'm doing both.
and it still says 404. No.
Well, Tesla turned negative slightly, down 160.
It's actually good. I didn't see that before, that on this table further to the right, Herbert, you now have the consensus numbers there as well. The page is actually bigger. And so after the SEC filings on the right, you have,
I can't get there right now.
yeah, there you now have a column saying consensus. So that's good.
Are you sure
Yeah.
Tesla's out?
Well, the link is out. The file's not there. So
The link is out, but the file's not connected yet. And I've got another place I'm searching too.
Let me text.
Yeah.
Let me text
Send it
him.
to me.
No, not you.
I know.
Them.
cue the meme of that guy standing behind the data center with all the cables, looking at it with his hands on his waist.
So Meta, Microsoft, and
What is
Tesla
it?
are all going down in after hours.
Well, there could be some pin action there too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tesla's down pretty good.
$3. $3 is nothing. Okay, here we go. No.
You got it?
Nope. Thought
Yeah.
so. It changed for a second, then it went back.
No, I did send a message to Travis.
Guys,
Uh,
Meta's increased their capital expenditures estimate to 115 billion for the year.
From what?
I mean, they are crazy.
From 105.
115 billion.
So for some reason, Tesla's
Just
now positive in
heartbreaking.
after hours.
And you thought the IPO with 25 billion was a lot, Larry?
Okay, just in, they beat
Tesla crushed.
50 beat
Oh,
40
nice.
expected. Told you I said 45.
50.
Anyway.
Wow.
Revenue 24.9 versus 24.7. Is that FSD is pure margin and Megapack. When we get into the deck, we can prove that. But I think that was the secret
I still can't
hidden
download.
area. Sorry, Alexandra. I'm so sorry for you. Disappointed.
No, I'm happy.
Where are you
happy.
getting it from, James? Are you getting
The
it somewhere?
internet.
Okay, so somebody else was able to get it, though. Eh?
Let me try. I'll share it in the comments on YouTube.
Oh yeah, now it's up 437.
There we go.
I can somebody email to me if you've got it? I don't know.
Email
I'm-
1-800-HERBERT.com.
Be
No,
on top
it-
and bottom line.
It's now over $10. Oh,
Yeah.
nine
This-
and a half bucks.
Remember what I said at the beginning of this call? I said the sentiment is so bad. Probably the only way is up, and there
I
could be an
still
upside
can't
surprise.
download it, guys. Somebody help
You're
me
going to
out
have
here.
Mag 7. You're going to have people selling. Looks like they're selling Microsoft at the moment, right? And
Yep.
Meta at the
Yeah.
moment. And they're
They're going to
looking
be
at the
selling
results.
Micron.
Tesla's up 16
Micron,
bucks in after
Microsoft.
hours, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice. Good
heading
thing I
for
said nothing's
450.
happening.
Yeah.
Gross margins
Jeez.
improved.
Never
Wow.
listen to me. Okay.
If somebody has, can you share your screen if you've got info
But-
somewhere?
Apparently, it says in the deck that Cybercab, Megapack, and Robotaxis are all on track for 2026.
That's not
That's
new.
what they're highlighting on CNBC.
I'm
And
not able
Meta's
to
gone
download it,
from
guys.
red to
Anybody
green.
else able to do it? Is anybody on
Let me
the
see whether I have
audience?
it on FinTech. Give me a second.
So CNBC must have spent 4 seconds on it because they're already off. Interesting. That's surprising.
Oh, Meta's crushing it right now.
So
Tesla's crushing it.
There are already a lot of guys trying to downplay the results on X. They must be steaming.
Oh,
I see the steam coming from their ears.
I've been wondering about that. We had a lot of EDS, 12 to 15 months ago, but ever since Elon has been hanging out of the White House again, it's kind of amped up. Has anybody noticed
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, for sure. It's
Yeah.
fun. It's fun to watch.
Other people say that they're able to download it. So how do we get access to it?
Refresh.
I'm refreshing.
I got the deck.
You got the deck? Okay. Can
All right,
you
full year 25.
email it? Can you email it to me?
Email it.
Do you have
How
my
did
email?
you get it, Nick?
Just click it.
And it
Yeah.
doesn't work here.
Try a different browser, perhaps, Herbert.
Oh, good idea. Okay. But can you email it to me?
Yeah,
Nick?
hold on.
No, it doesn't work in a different browser.
You want me to just share my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
You control it then, but I still want it.
Well, okay. Well,
He'll give you
how do
one
you break
Bitcoin for it.
Herbert,
It's worth a pizza. Just worth a pizza.
Sure, let's go.
Yeah. Okay. Just share it. I'll get it some other time.
Meta ripping.
Can you share it?
just working on it, homie.
Herbert. No
Herbert.
patience.
Herbert, deck
Gotta
withdrawal.
select it.
symptoms.
Here. There we go. All right.
There we go.
I'll be your hands. You tell me what to do, Herbert.
We usually go right to the Outlook.
Outlook?
Yeah.
Love to see that energy
Oh,
revenue.
I got it.
14 backseat drivers.
1.1 billion energy margin gross profit.
It works now.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
You want me to
Now.
stop
I got
sharing?
it. No, it's okay. Just keep showing until I get it.
All right. Well,
Yeah, it does. Boom. Okay.
automotive sales decline sequentially. That's
No
fun.
surprise.
Gross margin, even when excluding the impact regulatory credits, improved. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Preparations continue in North America for production ramp to
Wow.
Tesla Semi
Free
this
cash
Cybertruck.
flow 1.4 billion. That's much
Yeah.
better.
Wow,
than I
that's
feared.
amazing.
Much better.
So many people
Much
are calling for zero or negative.
I know. I thought it would be really zero or slightly negative. That is really good. 1.42,
amazing.
of course.
It's truly
1.4.
amazing.
In
24
Q1 of this year, we plan to unveil the Gen 3 version of Optimus. So that sounds like it's on plan.
I'd like to go back as well and remind everybody Elon Musk said 2026 would be off the hook and 2027 even crazier. So,
Oh, look at this. This is the first time they have robotics under the installed annual manufacturing capacity, and they have construction.
oh wow.
Good.
What are the non-believers going to say now, Nick?
Oh, no.
Oh, and active FSD subscriptions are up to 1.1 million. Year over year, up 38%. And they are now showing them. They're now showing them on page 6 in the middle.
Is there an investment in XAI?
No, don't.
Yep. $2 billion to acquire shares of Series E preferred XAI stock as part of a recently publicly disclosed financing round.
You were joking, right?
Nope. Under other updates.
The cash
Where is
up.
that? What page is that? Let's take a look.
It's under other updates, page 12, first paragraph.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that's great.
Oh my God!
Woo!
It's only 2
Okay,
That
that's
is
massive,
wonderful.
guys.
Relax,
Yeah.
relax, relax.
Huge.
Well, 2 billion is a spit in the
Tiny.
bucket, but you have to remember as well the relative valuation of XAI compared to ChatGPT, OpenAI, which is going down the toilet probably, is quite small. Like it depends. What was the valuation to say, Jeff? Was it 200 billion or 250 billion?
230, 230.
230. Okay, that's good. Because we know
Okay,
if
so that's the
if
first
if
percent.
OpenAI is worth 800 billion, 600 billion, we know XAI is worth more. So buying at that valuation is like putting 4 billion into it. Agree?
Oh, I'm so pleased this finally worked. I was so worried after the shareholder meeting that we wouldn't get green light for that. This is really good news.
FSD subscriptions more than doubled in 2025.
Yeah.
And that's
1.1
why they're seeing the huge uptick now. That's why they're killing the $8,000 deal.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We're still at 444. This is really good.
The verbiage has changed a little bit to CyberGap production and Tesla Semi to, they say, first half 2026. It used to be April for the Cybercab.
Yeah.
So they're putting a bit of wiggle room in there, but that's okay.
Did it? I mean, I know he said April, but did the last earnings print say April for Cybercab, or did it say?
No, it just said 2026.
Yeah. So I think they may have narrowed it from the last. We have to look at the last one and see.
Yeah.
And they're still at 44.1 billion after dropping 2 billion in XAI of cash, which is big. Where's the Bitcoin hit?
You know, you would think Micron just dropped earnings.
All at the bottom.
Look at this future plan. It's like by the first quarter of this year, it's going to skyrocket up to 250,000. That's fantastic. Each
What
100
is-
equivalents.
Oh,
I'm still not over that we are at 1.42 billion free cash flow. This is so massive. You have no idea. This is really incredibly good number.
and
Yeah.
20.1% gross margin. Again, look at
Yes.
the low channel inventory. I haven't looked at the total factory inventory on here yet, but if you exit a Q4 like that with 15 days of inventory, you're going to be doing something special on cash, unless you know.
Yeah, so for robotics,
Also-
right? Mhm.
Also, to let
Okay.
you know, you remember how regulatory credits ended? Well, they actually are up. They're up from 417 million the quarter before to now 542.
Yeah, but the
Wow.
ZEV credits did not end. ZEV credits have not unchanged.
Yes, but they were. Everybody expected them to go down.
Well, I didn't, because everybody else is exiting EVs, and so the more they exit EVs,
Correct.
the higher ZEV credits they have to pay. I had ZEV credits going up.
Good.
So for robotics, they plan to unveil Optimus Gen 3 this quarter, and it's designed for mass production and the start of production by the end of this year. Eventually, 1 million robots per year. That's the line that's being built now. So that's huge. Okay, let's go through this one more time. Yeah, free cash flow of 6.4. So what happened here, man? That's like, whoa. Oh, that's all of 20
For the year. That's for the
1.4
full
in
year.
Q4. Okay, that's great. So all the numbers look good, right?
Yep.
Correct.
Wow.
Numbers look really excellent. I mean, they are better
Despite
than
the
anybody.
sales dip, yeah.
They're better than anybody I know forecast.
Yeah, and we're now sitting on 44 billion
44 billion in cash.
of cash. Yeah.
It's interesting that at least their factory inventory, their total four-wall inventory, is up. I would say rather significantly quarter on quarter. Now that could be getting ready for Cybercap ramp. That could be bringing in more batteries, especially the tariff going up in January for LFP cells out of China. But it's up. I mean, from
Well,
6
it's a
billion ending
12.3,
Q3.
right?
Ending 6 billion in like third quarter to 76 billion. So that's interesting. That
Yeah.
again, that's not. Anyway, that's all.
No,
in
the
that's all
inventory. Correct. Yeah.
This is the most important line. Cybercab, Semi, Megapack are on schedule for volume production starting in 2026.
First half 2026.
Where did it say that? It says just starting in 2026.
No, I thought could have sworn
Somewhere
I read
else?
somewhere first half. Yeah. Hang on.
Okay.
Must say somewhere. We just had a back and forth about it.
Okay.
Okay, there was a net gain in digital assets.
Hmm.
That's weird.
I think the street's gonna like the 20.1% non-GAAP gross margin.
Yeah,
it's massive.
it's huge. I mean, it's amazing.
Oh, I don't know if you guys talked about this, but did you see the planned robotaxi coverage?
No, where's that?
Page.
Right there. You pass it. Right, down. 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 Right there. Bottom right.
Oh, planned
That's huge.
robotaxi miles. Okay.
No, forget miles.
Oh, planned robotaxi coverage. Yeah.
There you go. Let's go Tampa. That's me, baby.
There you go. That's actually Tampa and Orlando are the only two that are really a surprise, aren't they?
No.
So
Kathy
first
Woods is
half,
here.
that's a huge number. First half.
Kathy Woods is here, and Larry Goldberg comes down all the time, so it makes sense to have.
No.
Here.
I understand it, but actually we knew all these cities other than Orlando and Tampa. Is what
True.
I'm saying.
Yes.
I've been posting pictures of the validating testers. So,
Guys, these are dates. These
Yep.
are first half dates. I mean, this is
Yeah.
serious
It's
stuff.
a lot more than just Elon saying it. This is on an earning. Wait, what's the legality of that, Alexandra, when it shows up on this kind of
Oh,
event?
now it's binding. I mean, of course they can have delays, but they will have to explain them if there are delays, because this is now written in stone first.
It's not we shouldn't say it's binding. I think,
Yeah.
you know,
Why are they testing in Mr. Lutz's hometown and in Buffalo, New York, and places, and they're not listed here? Anybody idea?
Because they're probably not ready for first half 2026 with regulators.
yeah.
Are they waiting
Right.
for the snow to clear?
you also wouldn't want to start there, right? You want to
We don't
do
even have- we don't
sunny
even have
areas
Waymo here.
before you go there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we don't have Waymo yet either.
Yeah, that is correct. There's a comment here. I don't have the hand anymore on the comments, Herbert. So if you can put it, it's I am old AF saying the 2 billion XAI commitment. I didn't say it. Was on 16th of January, so it has nothing to do with the 31st of December 2025 financial results. So that is correct. I mean, it doesn't matter because it doesn't even say that there was any payment or any anything exchanged yet. It was just a contract signing.
It's not on the cash flow statement.
Exactly, because
see.
it's January. Because it's January anyway. It's not December. Now I was looking at the stock options.
Oh, you want to talk stock options? We can talk stock.
Yeah, because you see on page 5, you have the net income attributable to common stockholders GAAP, and below the line non-GAAP. And the difference of these two, which is 2 billion, is going to be mainly explained by issued stock options. So I think that is very interesting. But like I said, it's going to take us until 10K until we really know more about it. But that is a huge number, 2 billion.
Yeah, but that's the Black-Scholes valuation of the stock options that they're estimating. So
Exactly.
that 2 billion could represent 10 to 20 billion dollars of stock options.
This is my favorite earnings call so far. All right. We've got the robotaxi plan for scaling. I just heard someone talk about Black-Scholes on the earnings call. Everything's ripping up. This is awesome.
No,
Yeah,
except for the
this
Amazon
is-
news you had today.
Yeah, but this
We'll have to
is
copy
awesome. This is awesome, but it really isn't the main event. The main event is which Elon shows up. So if
Correct.
you have an awesome result and Elon's in a bad mood, stock's going to tank. If you have this and a bright, shiny Elon, cheerful, bright, shiny Elon pops up, I mean, the stock can rip.
I'm with you, Larry, but it doesn't matter because I've got a bunch of leaps on Meta right now that are playing out really well, and and I didn't get laid off today as part of the 16,000. So Nick's, you just can't. Doesn't matter what Elon says. Can't dampen.
Exactly
my
what
mood.
Nick
By the way,
says. Exactly. Don't carry about Elon's mood. Carry about Nick's mood. That's all you need.
Yeah, by the
Yeah,
another piece,
what-
another
all I
piece
can
of
affect.
information. APAC was
What's-
very strong. Record vehicle deliveries in Asia Pacific region in Q4. That's important.
Yeah, that's something that yeah.
There's a lot in this report. I mean,
There is.
the
Amazing.
there's a
will
bunch.
actually roll
For
out
Q1,
the installed capacity.
sorry,
of
for Q4.
LFP, of 4680 of cathode material. There's a lot of data in this report.
I don't think this report could have been better for the end of 2025 and getting us ready for 2026, which is this huge year for us. So this is setting the stage in the best possible manner.
Larry, if you combine this chart up here, says Cortex 1 is now greater than 100,000 H100 equivalents,
Yeah.
and then Cortex 2 is in construction. But if you see here that it's going to jump in March, is that Cortex 2 or is it going to be Cortex 1?
I think it's got to be Cortex 2. There's no way that that's Cortex 1. There's no way. You know, that is a lot of, I mean,
That's
that's
a lot.
almost as much processing capacity as already exists.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt this is Cortex 2. I mean, Cortex 2 is massive. I've said this.
Did we lose you? Yeah, we lost
there.
them. Oh, there he is.
Hey, anyone
Yeah,
else
we-
notice? Oh, go ahead, Larry.
I'm just saying the volume of the factory is gigantic. And they're putting in Blackwells, which means every processor is, 8 times more powerful than the processors they're using in Cortex 1. So it's gigantic.
If you go back up on page 4, third line from the bottom, capital expenditure, you saw that they spent 6 billion in the first quarter. No, sorry, in the whole of 2021, 7 billion in the whole of 2022, nearly 9 billion in 23, 11
looking at?
billion in 24 capital expenditure.
Yeah, I'm here.
Cap-
I'm
And
missing some.
only 8.5, they had announced it would be between 9 and 10 in 2025. So I don't know whether they slowed down, didn't get what they wanted,
No,
but I had expected that capital expenditure number to be closer to 10 billion.
I'll tell you why. Because Cortex is not yet ready. They
Yeah.
plan Cortex to be ready and for the Blackwells to be installed. So it's going to hit hard in Q1.
Yeah. And that's what
Ah.
saved probably free cash flow.
I agree with that. I agree
Exactly.
with that.
Yeah. It's
We're
not
gonna
this page.
see-
It's the annual page. So it's one page. It's one page further.
We're going to see
Megapack and Mega Block production is starting in Houston this year. That's also very big.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they have a need for capital expenditure this year. We have seen nothing yet. We have seen
Everything's
nothing
happening
yet.
this year.
I know. So
Everything.
that's why free cash flow is it is always an important number, but this year it's the number to watch.
oops,
So-
maybe Nick's been laid off.
Oh, that was quick. No, he's so rich now. He's gone.
Oh, yeah.
He's getting a drink. He's getting a
I
drink.
do have a
At
slide there. to
35,
throw
you're
in.
still impressed.
They did mention the lithium production as well. But one thing is uncanny. If you can pop up that slide for a second, guess what? Elon is always in the right place at the right time. Look at the
Amazing.
lithium hydroxide prices pop
Yeah.
in China.
Yeah.
And guess who is does BYD have a lithium hydroxide factory that kicks off all of the waste to turn into cement as well at the same time using a very environmentally friendly method?
No,
I don't think
They-
so.
They produce their own. They produce their own, end-to-end cells. Is my volume okay? I'm getting a lot.
Yeah,
of
it's perfect.
people-
It's very good. It's very good.
Okay,
It was
a lot of people
slow at
saying
the
they
low
can't
at the
hear me.
beginning. But I think
Herbert
that's
was-
big points. It's Jeff.
It's still low,
Silence
Jeff.
me.
Tell us about the lithium. They can make 1 million cars a day from their scale.
Well, I think
production.
people get confused with these graphs because there's two sets of graphs out there. This is the right graph to look at, which is the lithium hydroxide, which is taking lithium from the ground and actually processed lithium. What people are looking at is they're looking at a delay in the process, and they're looking at cell and pack prices of lithium ion batteries, and they're seeing those come down. So there's inventory issues. There's inventory issues of cells between cell manufacturers and Chinese EV producers, for example. So the cells themselves, those prices are down, but this is the leading indicator. And I believe, I mean, I don't know for certain, but I believe this is being centrally controlled. My fear is this is rare earths number 2 in the making. It's something that they have in the background that they can control. Now, there's been a need for them to control it because cell and pack production and inventory is through the roof right now. So two different things. This is the earlier stage. The cell pricing you're going to see is lower. What I'm interested in is why is Tesla only doing 7 gigawatt hours of LFP production in the US? And where are they going to get the rest of 70, 80 gigawatt hours of LFP? I mean, the tariffs on lithium ion and cells have gone up on January 1st again, and I think they're right around 82%. So when you layer on the IEEPA tariffs, the Section 301 tariffs, the fentanyl tariffs, there was an existing 3.4% one just for lithium ion alone. So anyway, I just am interested to see what's the plan for energy, where are you getting cells from, and how is this going to play out? Again, it doesn't seem to come up as an issue, but it should be.
But one thing I do, maybe you could stress on, Jeff, as well, is what got me by that chart is the prices of lithium hydroxide have gone up 120% in 6 months.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
They're just shutting down. They're just shutting down refining. They're basically just saying, look, there's too much product out there. This is, again, they went in 6 months before and said, hey, too much EV production, too many price wars, and they went in and intervened there. They're still seeing fallout from that. Again, if you look at the cell pricing of lithium ion, you're going to see that actually coming way down. So there's two different things happening. But again, they're just time phase. As soon as those cells are soaked up out of inventory, you're going to be running into the curve you just showed, which is much higher pricing for refined material.
Can we take a look at this, Jeff? Take a look at this table here, because you can see that it says Cybercab still tooling. The Tesla Semi still tooling. Shocking that Roadster still says TBD and design development when it's supposed to be presented on April 1st. You got Optimus in construction and Megapack in construction. But if you look over here, it says Tesla Semi and Cybercab both commencing first half of 26 and production of the next gen Roadster.
Yeah.
So
what tooling means is they are making the design is essentially done for production. Not saying they're never going to make changes. This is the repeat tooling off of the first set of tooling so that you can scale the product. So when a product moves to tooling in the production phase, it's moving towards replication of tools. Those additional tools will make more supply to get product into the factory from suppliers, and Tesla's own factory tooling is being replicated now. I believe they have the Cybercab design done, minus, again, what they find in road testing or a reliability test here or there, smaller, couple day changes, maybe a few week changes, but they're on the green and they're just making shorter putts. That's what's happening with that and the Semi. The Roadster, they haven't, nobody's going to want to hear about the Roadster too much, but other than to say that they probably haven't approved the final design to go into tooling ramp is what that says.
And it won't be a scale car anyway, so that ramp isn't that important. So they could probably make it at the space factory down there. Good. Nothing but goodness. Anyway, my point about the lithium hydroxide, by the way, was foresight. In case anybody missed that, is how he can anticipate down the line, years ahead of time. There's a massive need for this, and nobody else is going to do it. So I thought that was important.
Yeah, for sure. Alexandra, before you go there, take a look at this. If cash says we'll manage the business such that we ensure a strong balance sheet, maintaining a sufficient liquidity to fund our product roadmap, long-term capacity expansion plans, further vertical integration, and other expenses. How are they going to do that and profit when this year they're going to be launching, like we just said, Megapack, Megablock, Semi, Optimus, Robotaxi, Cybercabs, just the list keeps going on and on and on. AI chips and all that. How are they going to fund this?
Well, we've got 44 billion in the coffer, so it's not as if we have no money. They will, and then this is continuing. This is an acceleration of cash producing machine. So I'm not worried about how to fund it. I'm just worried how they're gonna balance it every quarter so that there is still some free cash flow, because I think that is important for the whole evolution of financials. But even if it would not be, we will explain it why it won't be. I just feel like at the moment they're doing an extremely good job, and Larry explained it perfectly well. I think they needed more capex in the last couple of weeks of 2025 than anticipated, which allowed the free cash flow to be actually higher than we all thought. I think what they're aiming for is just a landing around zero, which is perfectly fine if you explain it with capital expenditure. It's not, it's actually great, right? But it's how well they manage it, and couldn't have been managed better.
I sort of put something in perspective. I just read that Meta plan $135 billion of capex in 2026 versus what Tesla's spending. That is wild. I mean, how much is XAI, Larry? How much has XAI spent to date to get where they are?
Well, it's about 80 billion to date, right? It's,
and Meta's nowhere near where XAI.
No, there is nothing.
Okay. I would
but
be careful with that.
Okay,
one.
we're hurting Nick's.
Yeah, you got your calls. I mean,
no. I would argue no one's making more money in AI than Meta right now.
Google is.
Anthropic.
No, Meta
Google
is.
No.
I would wager against that, but we
Well,
can figure that out.
who would
later.
ever use? Well, I think they're using it. Aren't they for
Everybody
marketing?
advertises
For customer
through Meta.
advertising. That's it. Yeah.
Meta's crushing Google right now when it comes to it.
All right, guys.
Anyway, guys, I want to tell you one thing. So we hit an all-time record with energy deliveries, up 15% on last quarter, which was a record. This is a record quarter, but energy revenue is up 20%. This is huge news because energy margins are continuing to increase rather than reduce, which is
Over 30% now?
No. I'm saying the total margin is up by 20%.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's really good news on the energy front. And I was really worried about the energy margins, but it's really good news.
It's just to add to that, Larry, in this first wave of all this AI infrastructure, start off with NVIDIA, right? And, some of the other ancillary chip companies also benefited, maybe even some of the servers like the Supermicro, Dell, HP, et cetera, because NVIDIA chips have to go somewhere. But now as we get into this next layer, right, that's where you're seeing like Micron, right, the memory chip companies that don't have enough supply to fill the demand. It's insane. And energy's that other part of it too. So this can just continue, right? It always starts off with the hardware and it slowly gets out before we even get to the software layer. So it's going to get nutty, I think.
It is. And they're talking about expanding by 50% their production next year. So, I mean, energy is really plugging along pretty darn well. I expect we are going to hear news of another factory in Europe coming, a build out
an
of
energy factory?
Yeah, a build out of
I
an
think we should speculate. I think we should speculate in which country.
It's going to be in Berlin.
Oh, you think
No
they will
question.
expand? They will
Oh, yeah.
expand.
Oh, yeah, absolutely certain.
They're
Absolutely
done with
certain.
Germany.
No, they're
It's
not.
gonna be
No,
Italy.
they're not.
Well,
No,
I
they're
think
building.
it's going to be Italy. I think it's going to be Italy.
It's
but I
Italy.
think
I was going to say Italy too.
It's going to be Germany. It's going to be Germany. They're already building it, and it's going to be in Germany. They've got the space, they've got the production, they've got the people, they've got everything.
I mean, I can tell you, Grünheit is politics. I think we've had enough.
It doesn't
So
matter
Poland.
anymore.
It's right there.
Yeah, Poland would be great.
No, it's going to happen in Germany.
Poland, you
Okay,
got
good.
brilliant
I
people.
love it.
Politics align for
Correct.
being less regulatory, and it's close to Berlin.
And it
Hardworking.
could be Hungary as well.
100% aligned with you, but the capital investment would be staggering compared to the marginal capital investment in Germany. And they're already making fairly solid profits in Germany. They're very, very happy with their German. I mean, Germany's supplying all of Europe, and except for certain models, but they're very happy with the German margins, and they're very happy with German production. So don't underestimate it. You're listening to the news, but you're not seeing the real picture.
Okay. Hey, one more
This
thing.
is the news I listen to, by the way.
Jeff, let's bring you back in. Take a look at this product. Is this the first time we've seen this sentence? Future monetization opportunities via services powered by AI software.
Yeah, this is just saying that the model is changing, and the sources of revenue and the sources of margin are changing. This is what this is saying, and there's going to be more of a transition to this, and less of a focus on us waiting, and nervously by the production numbers every single quarter. It's going to be more of the sources of revenue and gross margin are going to come from FSD. Supervised, unsupervised, and robotaxi. By the way, there's another comment in the deck about there being, and we've talked about this a lot on the show, a transition in their go-to-market model of fleet, of having units available for traditional sales and for fleet operations. This is Tesla telling you that their business model to sell cars is changing. And it's not just going to be build to order, go to the website, order a car. That'll still be available. There'll be cars in inventory you can still buy, but now there's going to be this, hey, we're going to be building vehicles and pushing them into our fleet.
Yeah.
Eerily quiet. I'm reading the deck again.
Well, I got an observation that's, I think, kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Herbert, could you zoom in on Larry? Larry, have you been consulting with Mark Zuckerberg's stylist? You look fly right now. You look good. You got the chain on, the black shirt.
I am supposed to say that, Nick. What are you doing? You're married, got a little kid.
Larry's smiling for the very first time. I do shows with him twice a week, and I've never seen him smile.
I'm preparing for my 80th birthday.
Let's go.
You're doing well. And so this is the new office lamp, or what is this whole thing in the background? Tell us a little bit about this.
Well, I bought JetBlue Airways, so this is my office now.
So this is your new office, and this is a real lamp, or what is it on top of your? I mean, it looks like
airline.
My crown. It's my crown.
It's your crown. Okay,
it's in an airline lounge.
Making sure we all get it. Okay.
It's the JetBlue lounge, and I've just been on a 7-hour flight from London, and I've got a 5-hour layover.
Look at that! Look at those comments. My gosh.
Yeah.
You're welcome, guys.
Thanks, Nick.
Oh, everybody loves you. Damn, Lauren.
I love everybody. I met up with a whole bunch of followers in London. That was so fun. There's, the guys in the UK are so hungry for FSD. You've no idea. I mean, they're jonesing like crazy, and they really keep up. I mean, they know as much as we do. They're right up there. It's amazing.
Did you see that Sweden allowed today FSD testing?
Yeah.
It is coming. It's
not
just
Stockholm, but right next to Stockholm.
That's right. And then the other thing I just want to point out while we have a big audience today is my pinned post allows you to automatically send emails. Very easy. We really prepared it as easy as possible to all the different European regulators in all the different countries. And we're actually adding some more as they come along. So those are the right addresses, email addresses. All it takes is for you to either use the information and do it yourself, or use that little tool that Jeffrey, not our Jeffrey here in California, developed, where you can automate it all and just put in your name and which agency you want to write in, and off it goes. So please use that, because the pressure is building up. Elon said a couple of days ago, Europe is usually on a decision-making process in about a month. So we need to help as much as we can, please.
This one here, right?
Exactly, the pinned one. That's exactly it. And the whole instructions is there. It really shouldn't take you more than 2 to 3 minutes if you use the full set. And if you want to do it yourself, it takes you maybe 5 minutes. But and no information goes back to us. It's just for you to be able to do it in a very easy manner. Okay? That is for my European friends, please.
Yeah,
Great
I've got
job,
a bit of
Alexander.
great job. I've got a quick story actually regarding European friends, which is interesting, and some data around robotaxi and safety and regulations. If you want to kill some dead air, Herbert.
Kill it. Do it.
Is that it?
Do it.
Oh, no.
No,
that's not
slide 3 to begin. First of all, I just want to touch on this real briefly. You may have shared it before, but I think it's a very interesting pattern here developing. First of all, you got Lyft quarter over quarter or whatever chasing Uber prices. You got Uber prices chasing Waymo prices, and Waymo has stopped their growth. So now they're beginning to cut prices ever so slightly. And of course, Tesla is less than half or less than all of them combined. That's the first little story. Second piece, speaking of Europeans, Alexandra, Europeans are stacking record volume of US stocks. A lot of them are Mag 7. We don't know exactly. Places like Denmark, France, Finland, Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, UK. They are all buying a lot of US stocks. They've given up on investing in local stocks. So that was interesting. Lobbying update, very important for anybody has input on this. A lot of people are asking, why doesn't Tesla lobby? The biggest lobbyer here is, again, Meta, then Amazon, then Google, then Microsoft. Maybe is that because Elon has an inside seat at the table and doesn't need to? And then one other thing is current safety streak for Tesla miles, no incident, is at 389,160. The average crash that's covered by police and insurance for a driver is every 300,000 miles, which is approximately every 30 years for a human. And now, so far, the current streak has beaten the human safety level for robotaxi alone. But remember, if they do so much as get a little pring against a fire hydrant, that's reported. Whereas the human reports and human insurance claims tend to be very severe. A lot of people drive into ditches, crash into walls and parking lots, and never file a claim, so you never even hear about it. And well, that was it. One other thing. I have one other thing. Slide 5. Did I cover it already? Well, hold on a second. This one. AI, this DOT law, the Department of Transportation, this might be because of the influence Elon has with the government. They're now trying to streamline the regulations from a federal perspective for the Department of Transportation, which could be a big tailwind for Tesla and FSD. Thoughts? A lot of stuff there.
Yeah, this is the big one. I mean, the conversation still keeps popping up. If the laws aren't approved in time, because it looks like that Tesla's Cybercab production is on its way this year, and you saw the numbers that they're talking about, this needs to catch up. I mean, I think 94,000, 95,000 is enough for the government for 1 year. And then they'll need to increase it by next year, but they need to approve that by this year.
Yeah, but this covers everything like no steering wheel, no pedals, no safety monitors, etc. This could be huge. But wasn't there a falling out between Tom Duffy, the head of DOT, and Elon Musk? Am I correct?
Nah. I mean, yes, but not really.
In political, sure, there was a fallout between Elon and Trump in June, and now they're having dinner together. I think it's one of those things that they'll figure it out. And
once Trump and Elon make friends, then all the cabinet members are automatically friendly towards Elon.
Yeah,
I hate to
okay.
say it, but I think that's just
Yeah.
it's the way
Any
it goes.
Any comments on the safety streak? No incident. This is big. Nobody cares.
Can I ask
I'm
a question
trying
that's
to-
related
Yeah.
to this?
Yeah.
Am I crazy, or did someone say they saw on the deck? Because I'm like looking everywhere for it, that we have over 1 million subscriptions to FSD. Did
Yes,
someone say that?
that's correct.
Yeah, it's
Where the
1.1.
hell is that? I can't find this.
1.1 million.
It's written clearly. It's a bullet. There's also another bullet which
believe you guys.
they may
Where-
have misspoken, because in the deck, when you do the math, it's about 38% increase year over year.
Page
But then
6,
they say
middle.
monthly subscriptions to FSC supervised continued to grow sequentially and more than doubled in 2025. So I think what they're saying here, breaking it down in case people are confused, there's the monthly subscriptions, which have doubled. The $8,000 one-time hit hasn't. And that's maybe why they're also going to the monthly subscription. So for the people confused about the 38% increase and the 50% increase, that's probably where that comes from. Could I be wrong? Am I talking to myself?
Don't be wrong. Jeff, you said page 6?
Yeah, page 6 in the middle of the table. It says
Yeah.
active FSD subscriptions. It's gone up 10% the last 3 quarters, every quarter over quarter.
Oh my gosh, I'm freaking blind here. Now I see it. Wow.
That's actually a big
great.
move.
Yeah. Did they have this last quarter? I don't remember.
Never.
This.
The first time.
Okay, so I'm not crazy.
The whole presentation changed. I actually had
Okay.
a message from Travis saying, "How do you like the new presentation?" So let's tell him. I mean, I love it. I think
love
there's
it.
so much more information than there was ever before.
Couldn't
Right?
agree more. And to me, this plus the expansion of the cities, that's the biggest thing in this deck.
Yeah,
Like,
I think it's pretty clear. It's built around the comp plan as well, so people can track milestones. Could that be correct?
Look at this, Jeff. Days of supply of inventory, 15.
That is
This
correct.
So low. Jeez.
That's what Jeff was talking about. Like, of course, you're gonna have a good quarter, good numbers when you see that. Is what Jeff was saying earlier.
Yeah, but it looks like they are preparing to ramp a lot of product because their factory inventory is up over 20% quarter on quarter. So that's interesting. That's the thing to keep an eye on. That's one you have to watch multiple quarters in a row to see if there's kind of a story or not. But anyway, if I were an analyst, I'd asked about, okay, what's going on with inventory, what's happening. But their finished goods inventory is in great shape. So it's not like you have some issue up and down the whole chain. And I think they're actually they're preparing for ramp.
I just want to test the sound system. This is an old earnings call that they had. If I play it, can you guys hear the sound playing?
Yes, we hear it.
Okay, good. Thank
Yeah.
you. So we'll be following this closely.
I have to say that this earnings report is about as good as we could possibly have anticipated. I don't think anybody could have anticipated all of it good.
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't a single item here that is not really. I mean, even order gross margins are quite remarkable, actually.
You have to listen to CNBS with emphasis on the BS. Revenue fell for the third time in 3 quarters, and sales fell for the full year, declined for the first time on record. Net income plunged 61% from a year ago in the quarter. Operating expenses jumped 39%. They say nothing good. It's just negative.
Just to give credit, though, for the first time, I was listening when the numbers came out right away because Herbert didn't pay his internet bill. Phil LeBeau did come on, and he did actually say they beat top and bottom. He actually had a positive.
Phil's always
for the first time. I know. I'm just saying for the first time. Sometimes. And Kramer was not wrong for the first time. So I'm just saying, like, we got to give.
But what's very interesting is what they do in the broadcast and what they
publish.
Is like two completely different things, because this woman who does the Tesla beat is just so, I mean, she's incredible. She's incredible. Laura Kolodny. I bet you that was a Laura Kolodny piece. She is terrible. Terrible. I hope she sues me because, I'd love to go to court with her. love to do it. Yeah.
Discovery.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
in about a half an hour, about 2:30, so at about 35 minutes from now, they will do the live stream. We'll do that. We've confirmed that we have got it ready to go.
Okay. A couple of other interesting things I think are worth discussing. Well, if we finish the safety score, nobody seems impressed with that. I personally was.
It's very impressive. No, it's very impressive. I don't find a single thing. There's energy. There's like
This one?
autos. It's just amazing. This is like how good does it get?
Yeah. The other thing, this very interesting options action. A lot of people, I've been watching, whoever it is, there's some trader out there, and they keep on buying like the 990 calls for the end of the year for December 2026. And somebody today played a blind, or somebody bought about, I think it was 12,000.
Are you showing your screen? Are you sharing
No,
your
I'm
screen?
not.
or not? Okay.
Slide number 12. I do have a scrape of this. Is the option action. This one. Somebody very cleverly with a lot of insight. So you can always get a good feel for how bullish the market is by analyzing what people do an hour before the earnings call. Somebody went in and bought 14,200 of the 460 calls. 12,000, and these are for January. These are in like 2 days. Somebody bought the 500s for the 12,000 contracts. The 432.5s, 14,000 contracts. 430s, 22,000 contracts. That was a nice money maker today. That was very interesting.
But
How do
you
you know
can't
they
see the other side of it. You can't see the other side.
No, I look at the
trade.
puts too.
Yeah.
I look at the puts too. No, the point is somebody's actually buying them.
But how do you know someone bought those calls and they didn't sell them?
Yeah, either way, the volume is extremely high and extremely skewed to the bullish side. So people, there's no way people would sell that number of calls before an earnings call with the sentiment so low. I think people are playing very short-term calls to the upside. So I see this in crypto all the time as well and other places, but it just seemed very bullish to me because the skew was very high out of the money. That's the way I normally read it, and it works pretty well.
I think it may be a significant pointer in general terms, but it's very hard to tell what each trade really means.
Yeah.
Very hard.
When there's hours left on the clock, and people are buying $30 out of the money, it's pretty bullish.
That's just, I don't know. I think that's like just buying a lottery ticket. That's
it is. It's very risky, but maybe
but all I'm saying is it's not like I don't see that as signal of anything. I just see that someone's just taking a shot.
But my point is, you don't know if there's another side of that trade.
There's always another side. So if somebody's buying them, the market maker has to fulfill it. If somebody's selling them, etc.
He's saying that's one leg of a trade.
Yes, exactly.
Of that trader's trade, not somebody else's.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
But
for all you know, it's an iron condor or a puts or a call spread, and you don't know. So like really, it's not as bullish as you think it is.
Right.
But
then you would see the
you can only
overall
see one
sentiment.
part. You can't see the whole
you can
trade.
look at you can look at the overall sentiment, right? Is the overall sentiment bullish or so?
Exactly.
I think, James has a point.
I think this is a good summary, right? Larry, you like to look at this all the time. Here's what happened to revenue. It's decreased 3% year over year. But this is why. Decrease in vehicle deliveries, which everybody was expecting. Lower regulatory credit revenue. But there was a growth in energy, growth in services, positive FX impact, growth in other automotive sales, partly driven by an increase in FSC subscriptions. That's great. Higher average selling price. Whoa, that's unexpected.
First quarter in a while.
Inclusive of mixed impact. And then profitability, increase in SBC and restructuring, increase in operating expenses, higher average cost per vehicle due to lower fixed cost absorption for certain models, and increase in tariffs. Decrease in vehicle deliveries, of course, lower regulatory credit revenue, but then there was higher average gross profit. Whoa, what? That's interesting. Growth in energy, growth in services, growth in others. So that's a good way to Explain
Yeah.
what happened.
Well, the FSD has a huge impact on the ASP. Also, the refreshed Juniper, etc. It's a more valuable car, and they could do more with the same production lines, etc. So that's all very clear. But that goes directly to this FSD tailwind, which I think will be a huge boost for 2026.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It hasn't begun. I think we're going to see a very, very significant year this year on FSD tailwind, regardless of all the other potential catalysts. I think that the growth in FSD revenue is going to come as a big shock to a lot of people.
Yeah, Q1 FOMO as well. The $8,000 deal will help Q1, which is actually timely because Q1 always sucks. It's always a dead quarter, so that's going to help.
So they announced there's 1.1 million FSC subscriptions today. Elon needs to get to 10 million.
Yeah.
What are your predictions, guys? Given how good FSD is now, how good it's going to
Before
get
the end
in
of
6
next
months?
year.
But let's say by the end of this year, what do you think the uptake is going to be? If it's 1.1 as of Q4,
That's just North America.
4 million.
In Korea now too.
Korea too, right? Yeah.
South Korea has it,
South
and
Korea
they're
and
tech
Australia.
forward, so they'll buy a lot of it.
There's not a lot of vehicles.
It's mainly North America, then South Korea and Australia. So if there's a big EU approval, as Larry was talking about, you'll see a big flood come in. There's a big China approval, you'll see them come in. But I like that this 10% growth quarter on quarter that we're just seeing with a very low approval in terms of number of countries. That's a promising sign. The other thing I've always talked about FSD tracker and how I don't like it. But one thing it is good for is looking at relative data now that you build a suite up over FSD version 12, 13, and 14, if they're measuring things relatively consistently. And what it shows is basically going from 13 to 14, FSD 13 to 14, there's almost a 10x improvement in the rate of disengagements, both critical and non-critical. This is something that all the bears go to. This is something that a lot of the analysts cite in their reports. And FSD 14 is showing an 8 to 10x improvement in that. I think that's also an interesting data point. That's the one thing you can probably actually use it for.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
okay. So given the report that we saw dropped, what are our predictions of what they might say about robotaxi? They listed out about 9 states or 9 cities that they listed out of they're going to roll out. Or are they going to say anything more other than what they've shared here?
If I'm an analyst on the call, I'm going to ask. You said 8 to 10 cities by the end of 2025, and now you're saying by mid 2026. What changed? It's okay. I mean, I get it. What changed, and what gives you greater confidence now that you're going to hit this June milestone? I hope somehow that comes up, or I hope they just relay like this is why we think we're hitting this. This is why we're confident.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, I
Guys,
guess
in the last quarter, FSD miles tripled. So if you multiply FSD miles, robotaxi miles tripled. If you triple every quarter, what do you get to at the end of this year? I mean, tripling a quarter is a hell of a multiple. A hell of a multiple.
I mean, Herbert, to answer your question though, I hope they address like the ramp, like even if it's just in Austin. Like, okay, the other cities, like Jeff, I love the question because that's my curiosity as well. But okay, well, you're in Austin. What's the rate of scaling there? Like, what's going on there? You know, you have now some robo taxis without supervision. Does that mean you're good, or is that just still testing? You know, is this where you start to slowly add more of those, or is this still just testing out the safety and making sure that everything's good? Like, how should we think about that?
Yeah. Agreed. I think there needs to be some sort of near-term tangible milestones with robotaxi. I think if you're coming from the tech world and you understand that like, Tesla is doing something that's never been done before with vision, with AI, they're doing a real scale play on physical real world AI. I've always thought there'd be a 30 to 60 day window around some of these promises and milestones. And I get it, but the 99.99% of the people that invest or follow the company won't, and the media certainly won't. So just explaining what's different and what are they seeing? I mean, I think that's something interesting. This driverless robotaxi in Austin, that is probably on a release that none of us have ever experienced. And what gave them that kind of confidence to do that? And when would we see that?
Jeff, I think they're putting onto this report the milestone, the measure that they're going to give us, and these miles driven. If it's a robotaxi miles driven, I think once they've used a graph, they generally stick to that format. So I think it's miles driven on a quarterly basis we're going to see, and I think that's the measure they're going to use.
I'd like
Robotaxi.
to see a goal line. If you're running an operation and somebody comes to you in a meeting and presents a chart without a goal line. So
I'm agreeing with you, but I think the goal line is going to be miles driven. I think the goal line is going to align with this chart.
they should put it on the chart. Yeah.
Well, I think they'll first speak to it at the meeting. I'm hoping they speak to this at the meeting, and then that's the measure we use going forward. Generally, at the meeting, they give you how we should think about the future.
Oh, he's frozen.
Yeah, I get it. I think it's hard. It's difficult. I agree with you, Larry. I just think it's hard to contextualize. Does people sit around and how many miles driven is the entire world driving every day? Or I think the way people think is number of cities, number of vehicles, and they're just trying to understand more of these tangible milestones. And this chart could shift for the next 3 meetings in a row if they don't lock in it with a goal line.
If you look at ARK Invest's analysis and you look at some of the New Street's analysis, it all hinges on miles driven and total miles. I don't think it's number of cities, and I don't think it's number of. I just think it's miles driven. I think that's the metric that we're going to be using going forward. Yeah. Hi, Cern.
Hey, Larry. Did I miss something?
Yeah, you missed all the important stuff.
I heard you guys. You guys covered it nicely.
CERN was in the lab making charts.
Got a few charts for you.
How do you feel about the XAI news?
It's good. It's small. Does it move the needle? I don't know, but
Technically, 2 billion with approximately 230 billion valuation is 1% of XAI.
Yeah,
which is kind of substantial.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's not so much a needle mover for a $1.5 trillion company, but I get it. It's good.
But it's a direction. It's a start. Yeah.
I'm trying to get your slides out ready.
You're on the hamster wheel, crunching numbers.
I was.
What do you think of the gross margin? That was impressive.
Yeah, I've got some charts to cover that. That was surprising to me that it was so strong.
Yeah. But FSD is pure margin and Megapack is high margin. And a lot of cars sold with the higher ASP, probably from bundling FSD, has probably driven a lot of that, would you say?
ASPs went up and the cost to make a vehicle went down quite considerably, all things considered. So if you look at the revenues this quarter, if you just look at the red, which is autos, I believe it's the 11th highest quarter for the auto business. So nothing to write home about, right? If you were an auto analyst, you look at that and say, okay, we've had no growth for years. If you look at the total revenues of the company, right, all of the bars, all of the colors, which is energy, services, and other, plus the reg credits in blue, it's the 6th highest quarter ever. Okay. And then Herbert, if we flip to the next line, next page, gross profit.
Ooh, wow.
It's the 4th highest gross profit in company history. Maybe tied for 4th. It's close to Q3 of 2022. I can't quite tell which one's higher, but it's in that range, 4th or 5th. Right. So certainly the other businesses are picking up some slack. Energy, of course, we know that story. The services and other businesses also in Q3 showed some strong life, and Q4 continued to be strong. So it seems to have turned the corner there in terms of profitability. And then if we look at margins, gross profit margin for the company overall, 20.2. Net
That's
margin.
That's the highest since 2022, correct?
Yeah, that's nice, right? And net margin 7, and operating margin 5.6. Okay. And then if we look at auto gross margins, if I'm a Wall Street auto analyst, I'm actually feeling encouraged today for the first time in a long time. Auto gross margins with reg credits 21%, without 18.6, which again is the highest in what, 2+ years?
Since COVID 2022. Yeah.
Right.
I thought reg credits were going away.
Yeah. And then if we look at the business line gross margins on the next page, energy continues to be high. It's dipped down a little bit, but Q4 last year was a dip down from Q3. And so I'm not surprised to see Q4 dip down this year. And then probably a strong recovery in Q1 as far as margins go for energy.
Yeah, I had a theory on that, CERN, and I talked to Larry about that before. They sold a lot of mega packs to XAI. Could there have been some type of creative transfer pricing with the sister company to
perhaps
pressure down margins?
Although I think we saw this margin decline, in Q4 last year or the prior year in 2024. So there seems to be some, Q4, something going on in Q4 that drives that down a bit.
At some point, tariffs have to come into play here. There's really no more mixed inventory of cells. The tariffs went up on January 1st. So, I mean, the tariffs, I think, are 82% now on lithium LFP cells. And even if this, this LFP factory is going to ramp in the U.S. and Nevada, 7 gigawatt hours. I thought it'd be 10, by the way, but it has 7 on there. Those are going to be very high price cells for the first year, and it's going to take them a year to get that factory to scale. So, I mean, one interesting question is what, with tariffs, with you ramping up a brand new LFP factory and really only a fraction of your capacity, how do you see the impact? Are you going to raise prices on mega packs, or are you just going to eat it in gross margins? Or have you become massively more efficient year on year? You found a way to swallow that.
Yeah. The blue line there is the auto gross profit without reg credits, 18.6. And then services and other, 8.8. Down a little bit from Q3, but still very strong relative to where it's been over its history. And the next chart is for Jeff. Average selling price versus the cost to make. Yep. So significant decline in the cost to make a Tesla, down to 34,000 and change, and the ASP just over 41,000.
That's the lowest cost it's ever hit in terms of the vehicle cost.
That's right.
It's amazing.
And then the difference between those two is the profitability of the Tesla, the gross profit on the next page, widened to just over $7,000 per vehicle. So that's a nice multi-quarter improvement now.
Is that FSD? Do you think subscriptions? Or is that separated from this profitability per vehicle?
Well, I'm assuming it's part of these numbers. I'm assuming FSD is part of autos, not services and other.
Do you think they'll break FSD out now in terms of revenue, start accounting for it separately?
Yeah, it's a good question, Larry. Certainly at some point, Robotaxi will be broken out.
Absolutely.
But FSD, I'm not sure.
Absolutely. Maybe FSD and Robotaxi in a separate line item. autonomy.
And then finally, a brand new chart, and you guys have been talking about this, is active FSD subscriptions, which by the
Yes.
way includes purchased FSD.
Yes.
But for the first time, we've got some data going back to Q4 of 2021.
Oh, well over $1 billion.
Yeah, and then we're at 1.1 million subscriptions now.
I think it's the first time we're over 1 million. Is that right?
According to this, they were at 1 million in Q3.
Oh, at 1 million. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it looks great, but it's also just 200,000 subscriptions in a matter of 1 year, from Q1 of 2025 to Q4.
300,000.
We need to 300,000. We
Yep.
need to see that go to millions, and that's what's going to happen, I think, next year.
To look at it as a percentage of the base, but yeah, I would agree. This is what discoverability and all that plays into. But 300K on a base of 800K is huge growth.
Wait, why is it a base of 800K? Is this just the U.S.? Because you're, again, just U.S. and South Korea is all you're doing? Mm-hmm.
Well, you jump from 800K to 1.2 million. I mean, in 4 quarters.
Yeah, but he's saying a base of 800K, meaning that there's only, well, how many cars are you saying, Jeff, is eligible for
Just look at
FSD?
the graph. It says Q4 2024 is that there are 800K subscriptions, and now they're at 1.1. So
Yes.
you're talking, what, 40% growth.
Oh, I see.
Year on year
The base
of a SaaS business. So this is your SaaS business, and it's growing 40%. I think you're feeling pretty
in
good.
a year.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you. I think this blows out with country expansion, continent expansion, and really, is Tesla going to take the veil off of this and actually tell people about it?
And by
Now
the
that
way,
it's so good.
The base number, Jeff, in Q4 of 2024 might have been under 800,000 because they're just showing 1 decimal point here. Could have been 755,000, and it rounds up to 0.8.
I think, sir, another good ratio would be the percentage penetration of U.S. cars, which is about just under 4 million, if I'm not mistaken, and that's 25%, growing, maybe even higher.
Yeah,
correct.
That's a good point. You can bet that I'll make a chart that shows that.
Yep.
But that's encouraging. If we're already at 25% of U.S. vehicles, that's very encouraging.
A lot of cars are old. If you had an AI 3 car, hardware 3 car, you're probably not going to buy FSD. So you could even make it smaller, the penetration across AI 4 cars.
Yep.
And that's even higher again. So you could argue, I'd estimate just back of the napkin, 33% or more of hardware 4 cars have full FSD subscription. But I still see a lot of people driving their Teslas around physically.
Mm-hmm. When I look at, we have a huge population of Teslas in our area. We're a high-tech area. And I don't see people driving with FSD. I see them driving their cars. It's amazing to me.
I did see a guy yesterday. He was going around the car and he's looking at my Cybertruck and he's like, he's taking a right-hander and I'm on the left-hand side. He's just staring at me and staring at the car. So he was using FSD for sure because he was going through a zebra crossing or whatever you call them here.
Yeah, I just went to a 4-way stop and we both stopped for a long time. And when he drove by, he wasn't holding the steering. I was like, yeah, we're both on FSD. That's pretty cool. So a quick, just sort of setting up the stage here. In about 10 minutes, 12 minutes from now, we're going to live stream the actual Tesla earnings call right here. So we'll do that, stay on, and then we'll do post analysis. I do want to just say thank you to this panel. This is the greatest panel that you can put together for Tesla experts. You got Larry Goldberg, incredible expert. He does deep dives on energy, almost every single business he's done it. Of course, he's very aware of IPOs and stocks and all that. Yeah, Nick Gibbs, he's the guy that we go to for short-term trading. He has just recently started to teach his options course. He can't stop pitching it whenever he can, but that's okay. I'll let him. I let him do it. You got Jeff Lutz, the master. He's a true executive. He's led massive global companies launching real products, both manufacturing, supply chain expertise, and quality improvement as well. People don't realize he's got that expertise. You got Søren Basherick, always comes with a financial analysis. I don't know anyone else, maybe a couple others, who has done the deep dive financial analysis, including James. He's the one that does the deepest dives of financial analysis. And of course, he's got his channel, Investing Against the Grain. No, I'm sorry, Invest Answers. So first of all, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. And so if you're watching this, please like the channels. If you're watching it on James or any of our channels, and appreciate that you're doing that.
Yeah. There's one other fun slide that I have. If Søren's finished with his slides,
Yep.
This one is slide 10, Herbert, if you may. It's just why. It's a personal question for the panel here. Why do people continue to fade Elon Musk when he has a track record that is plain to see? And I even cut off what he's achieved in the past. With SpaceX now $1.5 trillion, IPO coming in June, middle of June. Tesla 1.4, 1.5 trillion. 3 trillion combined, those two little. And by the way, you could argue SpaceX is a side hustle. I don't know the true valuation of Boring Company or Neuralink, but Neuralink is soon going to bring sight to people. And talk about leaving a legacy of, forget all the other stuff, but helping people see again is massive. XAI, I don't know if it's 300 billion, 230 billion, 500 billion, but it's going to be worth $1 trillion soon. And then Twitter, of course, is part of XAI. But I'd like to ask, starting with you, Larry, first, why do people fade this person? And they have no faith.
I think a lot of it has to do with the political divide in the country, people who are very strongly opposed, and there are a lot of them, and it's pretty, they're very, very, very angry at Elon, and they're very angry with Elon's side and I think that plays into it in a very big way. I think it has probably more to do than anything else.
Well, a deeper question, a man with your experience, how can people let their biases get in the way of their financial decisions? This is what I never understood.
It's a strange time we live in. You're absolutely correct. It's just a very strange time you live in. People no longer disagree politely with one another about their political views. They become angry, and then they take the persona that they're dealing with, and they turn that persona into some evil, spirit. It is extraordinary. I've never seen this in my lifetime. I certainly know that it was, it is how the world was during the Second World War and in Germany before the Second World War. But I mean, it is strange how there's no longer a viewpoint. There's just this virile, absolute hatred. It's extraordinary. I don't understand it, but that's what's affecting the view towards Elon. Now, there are some legitimate, financial arguments to be made about potential Tesla's situation and whether or not FSD is going to be successful. I mean, some people really believe it's not going to be. We believe very strongly it is going to be. That it's a legitimate perspective. It's possible, but for the most part, it's a political. It's just a, gut hatred. That's all I can think of. There's no financial basis for it.
No. Søren, how do you square that with your clients? Do you even have a client that would let their biases get in the way of their decisions?
I do. And that happens from time to time. And sometimes people change their minds, and I've seen that too.
Yeah.
For both ways, against Elon and now see him in a different light, and people that were for Elon and see him in a different light. So it's interesting. I've seen it all.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine, a funny story. For the last 5 years, I've been urging him. He always comes to me, what should I buy? What should I buy? I say, well, Tesla at $70, Tesla 106, Tesla 220. He said, I don't trust Elon. I don't like Elon. The Tesla's all crap. And he comes up to me last week, and he watched one of my videos. I think it was a 2030 game plan. He said, okay, I'm buying Tesla. What price should I buy at? It's like 5 years, maybe 6 years of nudging. and then he turned around. So people do change, and that's a very good sign of intelligence when people overcome their biases. So it's good to know.
Yeah.
Just something to look out for on a lot of the earnings calls coming up over the next week, tonight and over the next week, is these hyperscalers saying that they could be power constrained and formally introducing that concept for the first time. I don't know what implications, but I know, Elon again continues to be ahead of the curve on this, and what he's done with Megapack and what he's done with this whole concept of just greater utilization from load generation. So this could be, this is a big portion of Tesla's business already, and the spotlight could be amplified rather significantly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tesla's starting to pop a little more right now.
By the way, I did, James.
Oh wow,
do a look-
north of 450.
Yeah, I did look up. I did look up the Neuralink valuation. Just looking at your slide, and it's a little bit north of 15. It's just at 15 billion right now.
Yeah,
Just I mentioned that.
and they're going into ramping scale as well. That is life changing for so many people, and I don't think he gets any credit for that as well.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see some very big movement on that quite shortly. I wonder why the sudden burst of value, a sudden price burst, and this late in the day. It's interesting. Maybe somebody
Casino.
Yeah,
Casino's open.
Casino's open. Yeah, that's right. And I would also the price that they struck on XAI, I thought I would mention to you, is 230. So that's the actual valuation.
I hear a little.
Yeah, someone's got feedback.
I think it's Larry. Maybe I'm going to mute him.
No, that's music I hear from Larry.
No, I think it
Okay,
was
you're right.
him. Yeah.
Dare you, Larry? I sound like he had a rapper of like a candy.
Okay.
music.
Can you guys hear the music?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to turn down the music because you'll get... Can you guys hear the music still? Yes?
I would just mute it
Yeah, I'll keep it very
Yeah.
light.
just before I get demonetized again.
I just want to make sure that the music is going well. I'm going to go and maximize this. Yeah, looks good. Okay, now all I need to do. We're all set. Woo!
Hey, how many other car companies have quarterly earnings decks that look like this?
Very true, sir. And this deck, as we discussed earlier, it appears to be built around the new comp plan, making it very easy for us to track.
Yeah.
It's really well designed. While I took my little break to eat my soup, I was flipping through it again. It really answers to a lot of questions we had in these previous quarters where we didn't have any numbers, and here we have them. I think it's really nicely designed, and you're right, it is designed to check where we are on the comp plan milestones. Perfect.
Alexander,
Yes.
can I ask you to at least consider a little favor?
Of
With your
course, what-
immense influence and connections that you have inside Tesla,
I do
is there
not, but I can try.
Is there a way we can have the earnings call be more like how Palantir does it, where we can actually have a video earnings call? It seems kind of crazy that we are supposedly a huge Mag 7 company and we can't even... Palantir does it every earnings call.
I mean, I don't want to spill the beans because there's nothing to spill yet.
Oh,
But
okay.
there seems to be a real effort to help this retail community understand Tesla more and more underway. And like I said, I don't know anything concrete I could share. I would, what a big mouth I am. As soon as I know, you'll all know it. But they are really working on giving us what we want. So I think we should put that on list. I have actually no idea how Palantir calls are done. Give me a quick rundown while we wait.
You just go on YouTube and you watch them. That's it.
No, I'm not going
We
to waste
barely
my
can
time.
get these guys to use the proper mic, let alone
Exactly.
a video. But we
that's
would
what I'm
love it if we, the Cyber Bulls, could actually ask questions, not just the institutional analysts. We should
Yeah.
have a spot there. And I know they've got the list, and I know we're going to go through that list, but let us get our chance to get in front as well. We're as equal, if not stronger, than the institutional analysts.
That list has
agree.
been, I believe, corrupted and taken over by others.
I agree. And I think it does have a ponderation by number of shares you have. So it's not completely easy to influence, but I think there must be a better way of doing it. And like I said, they're working on stuff. I have nothing to report because I know nothing else, but at least they're signaling that they want to collaborate is not the right word, but work together.
So often, whenever there's this impression that Elon's in a bad mood, like it's just like, I forget, what was the famous debate where it went from radio to TV? Was it JFK or whatever for the first time? And then all of a sudden that kind of like swung the whole, like just seeing someone in their mannerisms, like so much communication comes across through that. Like if you're just like, oh, he just looks tired, but he's in a good mood, like that's.
I agree.
makes a
And I
huge
mean, on the other side, he hates talking to analysts, right?
Yeah.
So I think the starting position is not a favorable one. Now, if we can turn that he's actually talking to his beloved retail community, I mean, you know how he loves us and how he gives us whatever we want, right? I mean, I whatever I asked, we always got it, and whatever anybody else asked, they always got it. So I think if we can turn it into something more retail oriented, that will be great. But I'm going to look into the Palantir earnings call so I understand what you're talking about. I promise.
Yep. Here.
And then you can collect all the credit that you were the inspiration for it if you ever get it.
No, I don't care about credit. I want a better earnings call. Like it's 2026. We shouldn't still have to just listen.
I can tell you my most embarrassing moment in my Tesla life is, that I've been going on for a couple of quarters now that I can't understand the CFO, and his CFO should learn some English. And I mean, I was out there. And then in November, somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, "It's me." And I was like, okay. Earth, open and swallow me, and please. And he goes, "Can you understand me now?" I said, "Yeah, I can. I'm so sorry."
Oh, here we go.
Fourth quarter 2025 Q&A.
There we go. Let's go.
Good luck, everybody.
Axelrod, Head of Investor Relations, and I'm joined today by Elon Musk, Vaibhav Taneja, and a number of other executives. Our Q4 results were announced at about 3 p.m. Central Time in the update deck we published at the same link as this webcast. During this call, we will discuss our business outlook and make forward-looking statements. These comments are based on our predictions and expectations as of today. Actual events or results could differ materially due to a number of risks and uncertainties, including those mentioned in our most recent filings with the SEC. During the question and answer portion of today's call, please limit yourself to one question and one follow-up. Please use the raise hand button to join the question queue. Before we jump into Q&A, Elon has some opening remarks. Elon?
Thanks, Travis. So we've updated the Tesla mission to Amazing Abundance, and this is intended to send a message of optimism about the future. I think we're most likely headed to an exciting, amazing era of abundance, and I think with the advent or with the continued growth of AI and robotics, I think we actually are headed to a future of universal high income, not universal basic income, but universal high income. I mean, there's going to be a lot of change along the way, but that is what I see as the most likely outcome. So I think that it makes sense to update Tesla's mission to reflect that goal. And obviously along that way, we're going to keep improving safety, driving down the cost of goods, and getting people access to anything they need without compromise, and still making sure that the environment is great, nature is great, and people can have whatever they want, which seems like probably the best future. I'm open to other ideas, but that sounds like it sounds like if you could say what is the best future you could possibly imagine, I guess it would be that everyone can have whatever they want, including amazing medical care, but we still keep the beauty of nature and Earth. think that's probably the best outcome. And we're seeing obviously the first steps along that way this year for Tesla, first major steps as we increase vehicle autonomy and begin to produce Optimus robots at scale. We're making very, very big investments. So this is going to be a very big CapEx year, as Vaibhav will get into. That is deliberate because we're making big investments for an epic future. So I think all these investments make a lot of sense. We'll continue to make sure that when we do spend capital, it is spent very efficiently. But it's a lot of things. Major investments in batteries and the entire supply chain for batteries. We're also going to be significant manufacturers of solar cells, and we're making massive investments in AI chips. So, but I think these all make a ton of strategic sense. And then I guess I have like one, I guess it's not exactly bad news, but it's time to basically bring the Model S and X programs to an end with an honorable discharge, because we're really moving into a future that is based on autonomy. And so if you're interested in buying a Model S and X, now would be the time to order it, because we expect to wind down S and X production in next quarter, and basically stop production of Model S and X next quarter. We'll obviously continue to support the Model S and X programs for as long as people have the vehicles, but we're going to take the Model S and X production space in our Fremont factory and convert that into an Optimus factory, which will, with the long-term goal of having 1 million units a year of Optimus robots in the current SX space in Fremont. So that is it's slightly sad, but it is time to bring the SX programs to an end and shift. Really, it's part of our overall shift to an autonomous future. As my profile picture on X said for a few months there, the future is autonomous. So let's say with respect to full self-driving and robotaxi, people are obviously following with very close attention the progress of FSD, and you can experience it for yourself. If you've got a Tesla, you notice with every software update, the car gets better and better at autonomy, and we're we're able to do our first rides with no safety monitor in the car in Austin. These are paid rides, so these are just sort of randomly selected paid rides with no safety monitor, and we're, I think maybe as of maybe yesterday or so, we actually don't even have a chase car or anything like that. So these are just cars with no people in them, and no one's following the car in Austin. So we obviously are being very cautious about this because we want to have no injuries or serious accidents along the way. So I think it makes sense to be very cautious, but you'll see the amount of autonomy increase dramatically, I think, every month essentially. So and then there will also be an opportunity, something we've talked about for a long time, for existing owners of Teslas to add or subtract their cost to the fleet, kind of like how Airbnb works, where you can add or subtract your house to the Airbnb inventory. And I think probably the value of the Tesla, the sort of partial people adding or subtracting their cost to Tesla autonomous fleet is probably a little underweighted by a lot of people, because we've got millions of cars with AI4 that can do this. So, so it's it might potentially, I think it will provide an opportunity for a lot of customers to earn more by lending their car to the fleet than their lease cost to Tesla. Yeah, which is it's kind of like you get in that scenario, you basically get paid to own a Tesla. It's quite a good scenario. And we expect to have fully autonomous vehicles in probably, I don't know, somewhere between a quarter and half of the United States by the end of the year, pending regulatory approval. A big factor would be if there's some kind of federal preemption for autonomous vehicles. In the absence of that, you kind of have to go on a city by city or state by state basis. But nonetheless, we even if it is city by city, state by state, we expect to be in, I don't know, dozens of cities, dozens of major cities by the end of the year. With respect to energy, the Tesla energy team has done incredible work, and the growth rate on that is continuing to be very strong, and we're building more manufacturing capacity, and expect that and energy will have very high growth for really as far into the future as we can imagine. The solar opportunity is underestimated. We think the best way to add significant capability to the grid is, or not even to the grid, let's say it's powering AI data centers, is solar and batteries on Earth and solar in space. So that's why we're going to work towards getting 100 gigawatts a year of solar cell production, integrating across the entire supply chain from raw materials all the way to finished solar panels. Maybe a bit more about Optimus. We'll probably unveil Optimus 3 in a few months. And I think it's going to be quite surprising to people. It's an incredibly capable robot. And as I mentioned, we're replacing the SX line in Fremont with a million unit per year line of Optimus. Now, because it is a completely new supply chain, there's really nothing from the existing supply chain that exists in Optimus. Everything is designed from physics first principles. So that means the normal S-curve of manufacturing ramp will be longer for Optimus than it is for products that have at least some portion of an existing supply chain. Like when everything's new, the production rate will be proportionate to the least lucky, least confident part of the entire supply chain. And if there's 10,000 things that need to go right, it's, it only takes one to be slowed to lag that. But so it will be sort of a stretched out S-curve, but I'm confident that we'll get to 1 million units a year of in Fremont of Optimus 3. And this Optimus really will be a general purpose robot that can learn by observing human behavior. So you can like demonstrate a task or literally verbally describe a task or show it a task, even show it a video, and it will be able to do that task. So it's going to be a very capable robot. I think long-term Optimus will have a very significant impact on the US GDP. Like it will actually move the needle on US GDP significantly. So in conclusion, there's still obviously many who doubt our ambitions for creating amazing abundance, but we're confident it can be done, and that we're making the right moves technologically to ensure that it does. And Tesla's obviously never been a company to shy away from solving some of the hardest problems. It's I think that's kind of how you build value in a company, is you solve hard problems. It's like, I don't know how you create value by solving easy problems. So there's a lot of hard problems that the Tesla team is going to solve, but it's an incredibly talented, hardworking team. And I'd like to thank actually everyone at Tesla for their incredible hard work. And it's an honor to work with such a talented group. So thank you to everyone who is supporting this mission. The future is more exciting than you can imagine.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Elon. And next we have some remarks from Vaibhav. Go ahead.
Thanks, Travis. So Q4 25 was an interesting quarter in a couple of respects. On the autos front, while in Q3 we saw a surge in US demand before the IRA consumer credit cliff, pulling in some demand from Q4. In other parts of the world, we saw increase in demand leading to record deliveries in smaller countries like Malaysia, Norway, Poland, Saudi Arabia, and Taiwan, while continued strength in the rest of APAC and EMEA. We therefore ended 2025 with a bigger backlog than in recent years. Note that none of these countries have the latest version of FSD supervised available yet. On the storage front, we hit yet another record in terms of deployments. I would like to thank our customers and Tesla in continuing this momentum. On the automotive margins front, automotive margins excluding credits improved sequentially from 15.4% to 17.9%. The automotive gross profit was flat sequentially despite 16% lower deliveries, primarily due to regional mix as we had proportionately more deliveries in APAC and EMEA. As we look to 2026, with the progress that has been made with autonomy, our focus is on ramping production at all our factories. Our biggest constraint globally continues to be on the battery pack front. While our teams have been creative in trying to resolve the situation by now putting 4680 cells in non-structural packs, we continue to iterate, improving things from here on. FSD adoption continued to improve in the quarter, reaching nearly 1.1 million paid customers globally. Of these, nearly 70% were upfront purchases. It is important to note that beginning this quarter, we are transitioning fully to a subscription-based model for FSD. Therefore, net additions to this figure will primarily be via subscription model and in the short term will impact automotive margins. On the energy front, we achieved yet another record in terms of gross profit for the quarter and ended the year with nearly $12.8 billion in revenue, a 26.6% year-over-year growth. This was the result of high deployments in all regions and continued strength in demand for both Megapack and Powerwall. As we look at 2026, our backlog remains strong, well diversified globally, and we expect increasing deployments with the launch of Megapack 3 and Megablock. However, we expect margin compression from the increased low-cost competition, impacts to market from policy uncertainty, and the cost of tariffs. Services and others margin declined from 10.5% to 8.8%, primarily from higher employee-related costs for service centers as we start preparing for the ramp in activity from the growth in the fleet size. We did see a momentum in margin. We did see an improvement in margin from our supercharging business, which is included within services and other. Additionally, note that our robotaxi business-related costs, while not material, are also included within this. Given that we're still in the early phase of our fleet deployment and are still doing a lot of validation testing, the revenue and cost per mile metrics are not meaningful to discuss at the moment. Then on total gross margin front, we ended the quarter with over 20.1%, something which we haven't achieved over the last 2 years. This improvement came despite the impact of lower fixed cost absorption and the impact of tariffs, which were in excess of $500 million in Q4. Operating expenses increased sequentially, primarily from increased stock-based compensation for employees And as we started recording charges on for one operational milestone under our 2025 CEO Performance Award that was deemed to be probable over the award term. Additionally, our spend on AI-related initiatives and new products like CyberCab, Semi, Optimus, and Megapack, etc., continues to be on elevated levels, and we expect this trend to continue for the full year 2026. Net income was negatively impacted from mark-to-market charges on a Bitcoin holding, which depreciated 23% as compared to the last quarter, and the impact of unfavorable impact of FX, primarily from our large intercompany borrowings. On the free cash flow front, we ended up at 1.4 billion. We did end up CapEx being slightly below our previous guidance of 9 billion. But like as Elon already mentioned, this year is going to be a huge investment year from a CapEx perspective. And at the moment, we're expecting that CapEx would be in excess of 20 billion. We'll be paying for 6 factories, namely the refinery, LFP factory, CyberCab, Semi, a new mega factory, the Optimus factory. On top of it, we'll also be spending money for building our AI compute infrastructure, and we'll continue investing in our existing factories to build more capacity. And then, also the related infrastructure along with it. And we'll also further expand our fleet of Robotaxi and Optimus. While this may seem a lot, we believe this is the right strategy to position the company for the next era. And we'll make such investments, as Elon mentioned, in a very capital efficient manner. Note that this does not include potential investments in solar cell manufacturing or our TerraFab, as we are still in early phase, and we plan to provide an update in future quarters. We're starting not the next chapter, but a new book on the progression of this company. 2026 year would be when all of this began. While at times it feels daunting, it is going to be the most exciting change in Tesla's history, and we could not have even dreamed of embarking on this journey without the support of our customers and our investors. Thanks for again showing the confidence in us, and let's get ready for a future of amazing abundance. Thanks.
Great. Thank you very much, Vaibhav. Now we're going to head over to investor questions. As always, we will start with questions from say.com. The first question is, today there are approximately 90 million cars sold globally each year. Does Tesla have a view, based on its robotaxi ambition, what this number will be in 5 or 10 years? And how does this impact Tesla's EV strategy to have more models?
Yeah, thanks, Travis. As Elon said, the future is autonomous, and obviously autonomy and CyberCab are going to change the global market size and mix quite significantly. I think that's quite obvious. General transportation is going to be better served by autonomy, as it will be safer and cheaper. And over 90% of vehicle miles traveled are with 2 or less passengers now, which is why we designed CyberCab that way. In this new autonomous market, we at Tesla have the advantage of efficiency, cost, and manufacturing at scale that really no one else has. And we've built that over the last decades. And we believe that that segment that we are creating will grow millions year over year.
Just to add to what Lars said there, it's with the point that Lars made, which is that 90% of miles driven are with 1 or 2 passengers, or one or 2 occupants, essentially, is a very important one, because that implies that the CyberCab, which is a dedicated 2-seater dedicated robotaxi. It's a little confusing with the terms robotaxi and CyberCab. Sorry about the confusion, but and in fact, in some states, we're not allowed to use the word cab or taxi, so it's going to get even more strange. It's going to be like cyber vehicle or something, cybercar. But the CyberCab, which is a specific vehicle model that we're making, does not have a steering wheel or pedals. So this is clearly, there's no fallback mechanism here. It's like this car either drives itself or it does not drive. And we expect to start production in April. As always, it's an S curve of the production rate is an S curve. So it starts off very slowly, and then grows exponentially, then you hit the linear, and then ultimately, it asymptotes at whatever your target volume is. So, but we would expect over time to make far more cybercabs than all of our other vehicles combined. Given that 90% of distance driven, or distance traveled, exactly, no longer driving, is one or two people. I think it's like 80% is just one. So it would mean that long-term cybercab would make several times more cybercabs per year than all of our other vehicles combined.
Great. Thank you so much. The next question, a bit related. Are there still plans to launch new models to address different price segments and vehicle types, which could materially expand the TAM for Tesla?
Yeah. To further on what we were just talking about, we've launched our least expensive models ever over the last few months and are continuing to expand those models globally. And over the last decade, we have continually brought down the cost of our vehicles without sacrificing range, performance, or premiumness. And we'll continue to do that, as Vaibhav said, investing in our factories. But these are all trade-offs of where we spend our time or money. And to Elon's point just now, with Cybercab coming, we are aiming to bring that Tesla premium ride experience to our largest market yet. That could be 5 or 10 times our current levels of production. This new autonomous market, you have to start thinking about us as moving to providing transportation as a service more than the total addressable market for the purchased vehicles alone. And of course, we do have plans to have robotaxis in various shapes and sizes, but obviously Cybercab will be the grand majority of that volume.
Yeah, the vast majority of miles traveled will be autonomous in the future. I would say probably less than, I'm just guessing, but probably less than 5% of miles driven will be where somebody's actually driving the car themselves in the future, maybe as low as 1%.
Great. The next question is, historically, Tesla has spoken about gross margin per model. Are there standalone gross margin targets for the current models, excluding the benefits for FSD sales?
We've talked about this with the previous two questions, but transportation, as we know, is changing. And I think we cannot keep applying the same framework from a car sales model to the future, what we are trying to do. So it has to be looked at it more holistically. Autonomy software will be the driver for growth from now on. And as we aim to maximize the global fleet, we have been laser focused on COGS from our side to make sure, because that is something which we manage. So we will keep focusing on that, but I think we need to look at it from a different dimension.
Yeah, like this Cybercab, the whole design of Cybercab was to optimize the fully considered cost per mile of autonomous driving. And it's a different design problem than if you're trying to design cars for people who will be driving versus being driven. So Cybercab is, like I said, super optimized for minimum cost per mile and also for a much higher duty cycle. So it would expect Cybercab to be used, probably 50 or 60 hours a week instead of the 10 or 11 hours a week that a driven vehicle is used. So typically people might drive their car for an hour and a half a day on average, so it's like 10 hours per week out of 168. But I think an autonomous vehicle is likely to be used probably 5 times as often, which means that you need to design the vehicle for a much more wear and tear per unit time and much more resilience. It's more like a commercial truck. That's in continuous operation or close to continuous operation is how you design an autonomous vehicle. And so we will have larger vehicles in the Cybercab in the future that are designed for full autonomy. And we've actually shown pictures of this, and in fact have shown prototypes. So this is not exactly a secret. In fact, we've given people rides in them. So we're not keeping this hiding this light under a bushel here. You know, it's like we're literally saying what we're going to do and have said what we're going to do for a while. So, you know, I think long term we would really the only vehicles that we'll make will be autonomous vehicles, with the exception of the next generation Roadster, which we're hoping to debut in April. Hopefully, it's going to be something out of this world.
Fantastic. The next question we unfortunately have to skip because it's not related to Tesla, and we would like to remind folks who use the Say platform to please focus these questions on Tesla. So with that in mind, we're going to move on to the next question, which is, what is the current bottleneck to increased robotaxi deployment and personal use unsupervised FSD? The safety and performance of the most recent models. Is it the safety and performance of the most recent models, or is it people to monitor the robotaxis in car or remotely, or is there some other blocker? I don't know, Ashok, if you want to kick off on this one.
Yeah, we have scaled the robotaxi service that's available to customers over the last year in order to just learn the scaling problems without having to like wait for the unsupervised. Basically, like two goals. One is like learn as much as possible from the fleet with the safety monitors, and secondly, be laser focused with the engineering team to solve the unsupervised FSD problem. I think we did both. Like by the end of last year, we had a long tail of issues that we were able to churn through, and then in the last couple of weeks, we had started our unsupervised robotaxi service to public customers in Austin. I think some customers took rides last week, and also the service continues today without any rear car or something like that. Separately, we did scale the fleet size in the Bay Area and in Austin, and through that we learned issues with charging and other issues that we would have seen once we sort of like scale the unsupervised fleet. So both are happening in parallel. A variant of the software that's used for the robotaxi service was shipped to customers with V14, and customers saw a huge jump in performance, like a lot of happy feedback from customers. And since then, we have improved the software significantly as well. And customers will continue to see with their own software releases that the software is so good that they're like screaming to remove the driver monitoring software because they're bored inside the car too much.
Adding to that a little bit with what Ashok said about learning about our charging and service needs, we're using our vast network of charging and service centers that really only Tesla has in this space to jumpstart our infrastructure build-out needs to get ahead of robotaxi and autonomous vehicle demand. And we expect that because of this network, we are the only company capable of scaling at the rate that is needed for the tsunami of autonomy that is coming.
Yeah.
Great. Moving on to the next question. After the unveil of the Cybertruck, Elon stated that if it didn't sell well, Tesla would build a more conventional looking pickup. How practical would it be to create this new design on the Cybertruck architecture, and could it be conveniently built on the existing production lines?
Actually, in its segment, Cybertruck continues to be a leader and is selling more than any other electric truck out there, while our competition continues to pull back. But to the question itself, from a line standpoint, we always design our lines to be super flexible. We built 3 and Y on the same line. We built S and X on the same line still, showing that we can do that. The Cybertruck line was designed in the same way and is one of our most fully ready for autonomy platforms.
Yeah. But yeah, we will transition the Cybertruck line to just a fully autonomous line. And there's obviously a market there for cargo delivery, like you say, like localized cargo delivery within a city, within a few hundred miles, something like that. There's a lot of cargo that needs to move locally within a city, and an autonomous Cybertruck could be very useful for that.
Great. Moving on to the next question. Regarding Optimus, could you share the current number of units deployed in Tesla factories and actively performing production tasks? What specific roles or operations are they handling, and how has their integration impacted factory efficiency or output?
Yeah, I mean, we're still very much at the early stages of Optimus. It's an R&D, still in the R&D phase. We have had Optimus do some basic tasks in the factory, but but as we iterate on new versions of Optimus, we deprecate the old versions, and so it's not I wouldn't say it's like it's not in usage in our factories in a material way. It's more so that the robot can learn. We wouldn't expect to have any kind of significant Optimus production volume until probably the end of this year.
Great.
Adding to it, like Optimus Gen 3 is an awesome robot that
It is awesome.
It's an awesome robot that minimizes any differences. Like it's basically, it looks like a human. People could be easily confused that it's a human. And this helps our strategy for the AI too, because you can learn from how humans do these tasks, and it's very easy to teach the robot to do in the same way as opposed to previous robots.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one thing I should say, is there's a lot of news of various companies announcing layoffs and whatnot, but at our Tesla factory in Fremont, we actually expect to increase headcount over time, and to significantly increase output from our factories. So we don't have any layoff plans. We expect to actually increase headcount.
Great. The next question, similar to the other autonomy questions, but slightly different. When is FSD going to be 100% unsupervised?
Well, it is 100% unsupervised, and FSD is 100% unsupervised. I mean, we obviously have cars operating with no one in them and no safety monitor and no follow car or anything like that in Austin right now. For customers, we're being just very cautious with the rollout. I mean, with each successive version, as we prove it out, and we make sure that there are no sort of unique issues in particular cities, because sometimes you get some very difficult intersection, and it'll be an intersection where a lot of humans have accidents. By the way, there's some pretty nutty intersections where a lot of humans make mistakes and have accidents in various cities. So we want to make sure that FSD can handle those unusual intersections. Like if you take LA, for example, where Wilshire and Santa Monica combine is like there's about 20 traffic lights, and people are constantly having accidents there. So you want to make sure that FSD can handle unique things in a particular city. And we're also just being paranoid about safety. But with each successful release of FSD, we will reduce the amount of driver monitoring that's needed proportionate to the safety of the FSD build.
Great. As it relates to Robotaxi, what has surprised you about the rollout so far? We've talked about what's constrained the fleet expansion to date, but it appears there are 200 vehicles based on public tracking. Is that something that we can confirm?
I wouldn't say there's anything that really surprised us because we had a large fleet, we had all the metrics, so there was not sort of a surprise. It was just continued work to grind down on the long tail of issues, and that's what enabled us to launch the unsupervised service in Austin.
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of robotaxi vehicles carrying paid customers, I think we're well over 500 at this point between the Bay Area and Austin.
Varying amounts of vehicles depending on the load, but you can have more vehicles during peak times and then fewer vehicles in the off hours.
Yeah. This will probably double every month type of thing. It's on an exponential curve.
I mean, one other thing people forget that we've been deliberate on all this in the sense that we have the supporting infrastructure already been in place, whether it's service centers, charging. Yes, we'll have to augment as the fleet grows, depending upon the density of where the demand is and whatnot. But it's not something like we just stumbled upon it and we're starting to. We've been at it for years. Yes, not every city is designed the same way. Same thing, our infrastructure is also not same in every city, but you have to give us credit that it's been a journey. And like Lars said, if there's some company which can do it, we've already been at it, so we should be able to deliver much better.
Great. The next question is about chase cars, which we already covered. So moving on to the last question. Elon, you've been spending significant personal time on Tesla's chip design.
Yeah.
What was the forcing function behind this increased involvement? And do you think external chip sales will represent a significant portion of Tesla's valuation by the end of the decade?
Well, I mean, I tend to spend time on whatever the most critical issue is for the company, and completing the AI5 chip design and having it be a great chip is arguably the number one most critical thing to get done, which is why I'm spending more time on that than currently anything else at Tesla. Spend pretty much every Saturday on this, and a chunk of every Tuesday. So it's like if I'm spending my Saturdays on something, it's going to be something pretty important. I do think AI5 will be a very good chip, and I feel quite confident about the design at this point. And then AI6, which will follow that, it'll be aspirationally would follow that in under a year, will be yet another big leap beyond AI5. So I feel pretty good about our chip strategy right now. But in terms of selling it outside of Tesla, we first need to make sure we have enough chips for all of our vehicle production and all of our Optimus production, and then we will actually use the AI5 chips in our data centers. We already use the AI4 chips in our data centers. So when we do training, it's a combination of the AI4 chips and NVIDIA hardware primarily that we do training with. So, but you say by the end of the decade, I mean, it's like things are changing so fast that it's hard to imagine like what happens at the end of the decade. I mean, we might. I mean, when I look ahead at say what's the limiting factor for Tesla growth, if you go say 3 or 4 years out, I think it actually is chip production. Is there enough AI logic and enough memory, enough RAM for our volume, and right now I see that as being the thing that probably limits our growth in 3 or 4 years, which would imply that we're not selling chips outside of Tesla because we need them. In fact, I think I think it's going to make sense, and this is definitely going to be a sort of a controversial thing, but I think Tesla needs to build a terafab. I mentioned this at the shareholder meeting, but even when we look at the output of the best case output of all of our key suppliers, and I'd say even beyond suppliers, they're like strategic partners like Samsung, TSMC, and Micron. And we say like, what's the most you could possibly make? Then it's not enough. So I think in order to remove the constraint, the probable constraint in 3 or 4 years, we're going to have to build a Tesla terafab, a very big fab that includes logic, memory, and packaging domestically. And that's actually also going to be very important to ensure that we are protected against any geopolitical risks. I think people may be underweighting some of the geopolitical risks that are going to be a major factor in a few years. So now, a lot of people are like, will say like, that's crazy. Fabs are really hard. I'm like, yes, I know fabs are really hard. I don't think they're easy. But
We do hard things.
we do a lot of hard things. You know, we didn't used to have car factories. We didn't used to have battery cell factories or lithium refineries or you know, mega pack factories or you know, all these other things. We figured it out. So I think it's I think if we don't do the Tesla Terafab, we're going to be limited by supplier output of chips, and I think maybe memory is an even bigger limiter than AI logic. So you know, for example, we have chip supply deals with TSMC in Arizona and Samsung in Texas, but currently there are no advanced memory fabs at scale in the United States. There are zero, literally zero. Hopefully, you know, Micron will have something going in a few years because they're all headquartered in Idaho, you know, where they make a lot of potato chips, and we need to make computer chips too. Anyway, we're working with our strategic partners on the chip front, memory and logic, but I think we got to also try our hand at building a large scale fab that integrates logic, memory, and packaging. And if we don't do that, we're just going to be fundamentally limited by supply chain, especially if there's some if in a worst case geopolitical situation, it would be quite a severe situation. So I think it would be, quite frankly, it'd be crazy not to try the Terafab. So yeah,
Great.
We'll have a bigger announcement on this in the future.
Awesome. With that, we're going to move on to analyst questions. The first analyst is Emmanuel from Wolfe Research. Emmanuel, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Great, thank you so much. It's Emmanuel Rosner from Wolfe Research. My first question is on the CapEx. You signal a pretty large increase to over $20 billion for this year. Was hoping to better understand where the investments are going. Any way to dimension for us which of the product line or technologies account for the bulk of the increase? And also, do you view this as like one time in nature, 2026, or I guess how much of this is an ongoing level of high spending for a number of years? And then just finally, still on that, with that level of spending, you're going to be burning cash. How should we think about the cash balance or any other way to finance this?
Yeah, so Emmanuel, I tried to put this in my opening remarks too, but I'll try and go a little bit deeper. There's about 6 factories which we are starting production in this year. So there's a lot of cash CapEx which is going into that. Then as we are trying to scale Optimus, we need a lot more compute. So we're putting more money towards compute as well. And
So
then
for training.
for training.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to be spending money to expand the capacity at existing factories. On top of it, we're just keep in mind that none of these numbers which I shared of 20 billion factors in anything to do with the solar fab or the semiconductor chip fab. Those would be, as Elon mentioned, would come later on. And you think your second part of your question was, is this one-off or would we expect more? I think we're getting into this investment phase because we have big aspirations. And when you look at it, some of these aspirations are, I call them as infrastructure play, especially if you have to do a chip fab and we have to do a solar cell manufacturing fab. Those are infrastructure plays. And that funding takes a little bit longer. And you would be in an investment cycle for a little bit longer. Initially, third part of your question was, how are we going to fund it? Initially, obviously, we have over 44 billion of cash and investments on the books. So we'll use our internal resources, but there are ways where we can fund it, especially when we look at the robotaxi fleet, because anytime you have a consistent stream of cash flow, you can go and get money from the banks. And we have had conversations with banks about it. And that is something how we're going to do it. And then on the infrastructure play side, yeah, like I said, we don't have a number yet, but given that it's an infrastructure play, it's a longer tail, we will have to look at a little bit more in terms of how we fund it, whether it's through more debt or other means.
Great. Our next question comes from Andrew from Morgan Stanley. Andrew, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Great. Thanks so much for taking the question. I just want to start on the xAI investment that you guys announced today. You talked about there being some collaboration, between the companies. So I'm just hoping to get more information, or if you're hoping that you could shed more light on what that looks like, and maybe how the work xAI is doing can be leveraged at Tesla and vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, if you looked at the disclosure, which we also put in there, we do talk about this is literally a furtherance of our master plan 4. And even today, if you look at Tesla vehicles, we are using Grok in there. And as we look at things, whether we can do it ourselves, yes, there are a lot of things which we can do ourselves. But if there are things which xAI can help accelerate our progress, then why should we not do that? And that is the reason why we've gone ahead with such an investment, because this is part of the strategic initiative. Because as it is, if you remember, I talked about how many things which we're doing ourselves. If there are ways and means we can find efficient ways for others to help us, and xAI literally fits into that mold. So that's why we went ahead with it.
And we just had like a lot of investors ask us to do this. There was like a lot of investor Tesla shareholders said like we should invest in xAI. So that's like we're just doing what shareholders like asked us to do pretty much. But Grok will be I think very helpful in say maximizing the efficiency of the management of a large autonomous fleet. So I mean, if you've got an autonomous fleet that's in the future 10 million vehicles or tens of millions of vehicles, then optimizing the efficient use of that fleet, Grok will be I think way better than any heuristic solution or sort of manually managed solution. And if you say you're managing say a large team of Optimus robots to build a factory or build a refinery, and say a rare hypothetical this is a hypothetical example, a rare earth ore refinery, which we do desperately need in America. Then you say, well, what's going to organize the Optimus robots to build that ore refinery? That would you kind of need an orchestra conductor. And so then Grok would be kind of the orchestra conductor for the Optimus robots to build the hypothetically and it might not be hypothetical in the future. I'm just saying it's not currently on our plans, but we do need a lot more ore refining capacity in the U.S. So then what's going to manage? Let's say 1,000 Optimus robots to do.
You're on mute right now, so I'm not sure if you're trying to ask a follow-up question. Ready. We're going to move on to the next question, which is coming from Dan Levi at Barclays. Dan, please feel free.
Great. Thank you. Elon, you talked about some of the constraints on memory. Given the very tight supply, are there any near-term constraints on procuring memory? And if there are, to what extent could you look at modifying the functionality in the vehicle, similar to what you did in 21 when we saw shortages on MCUs? And maybe how are you thinking about bridging in the next few years?
Well, the Tesla AI is very compute efficient and very memory efficient. So I think one of the metrics one should consider for any given AI model is the intelligence per gigabyte, especially when you're constrained on RAM. Having an AI that has very high intelligence density per gigabyte. So you can say like for a given number of gigabytes, how much functionality can you get out of it? I actually think Tesla is ahead of the rest of the world in intelligence density of AI by an order of magnitude or more. Like this is going to sound like a pretty bold statement, but I kind of know what the intelligence efficiency of the big models are, like Grok, and like the honest and a bunch of the other models. And I Tesla's AI is like, in terms of its memory efficiency, I think more than an order of magnitude better. So that puts us in a pretty good position actually for scaling. And we actually do think that we do have a solution for logic and memory for, let's say, the next roughly 3 years. But if you start going beyond 3 years, and we look at the scaling plans and how many fabs are getting built, and especially if you factor in geopolitical uncertainty, there's always risk that maybe those chips don't arrive that people were expecting to arrive. So that's why I think we need to have more fab capacity in the U.S. Just in case chips don't stop arriving for any reason. But, this is really existential for Tesla, because if Optimus is completely useless without an AI chip. It's not like at least the cars we can put steering wheels and pedals in or retrofit them if need be. But Optimus is just a mannequin without it's like the Tin Man or whatever from the Wizard of Oz. But even worse, at least the Tin Man could walk. Optimus won't even be able to, or just sit there without an AI chip. So we've got a good solution for a significant scale through, for the next roughly 3 years. Beyond that, we will be supplier limited, and so we've got to figure out some game plan to not be supplier limited.
Great. Our next question is going to come from George at Canaccord. George, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking my question. So there's been a surge of startups, particularly from China, entering the humanoid market, and wondering what the long-term competitive advantages that keep Tesla ahead are, and how, based on what you've seen, will Optimus fundamentally differ from these competitors? Thank you.
Well, I do think that by far the biggest competition for humanoid robots will be from China. China is incredibly good at scaling manufacturing, actually quite good at AI, as you can see from the open source, or not the open source, but the sort of, I guess some of them are open actually, but basically the models that China is distributing for free are actually quite good, and they keep getting better. So China is very good at AI, very good at manufacturing, and will definitely be the toughest competition for Tesla. To the best of our knowledge, we don't see any significant competitors outside of China, but China will definitely be tough competition. There's no two ways about it. I always think like people sort of outside of China kind of underestimate China. China's an ass kicker next level. So, I guess, we're going to build. We think Optimus will be much more capable than any robot that we are aware of under development in China. So we think we'll be ahead in terms of the real world intelligence, the electromechanical dexterity, especially the hand design, which is by far the hardest thing in the robot. And in fact, I'd say there's really three hard things about humanoid robots. Building an incredible hand that has the same degrees of freedom and dexterity as a human hand is an incredibly difficult engineering challenge. Then there's the real-world AI and scaling production. Those are the three hardest problems by far for humanoid robots. I think Tesla is the only company that actually has all three of those components. So yeah.
Great. And our last question is going to come from Colin at Oppenheimer. Colin, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Thanks so much. Guys, you talked a lot about the CapEx spend, but this is an incredibly ambitious technology development program that you're talking about. Can you talk a little bit about the R&D spend and how you're thinking about the synergies of the different components, particularly on the hardware side? If you think about, batteries into chips, into memory and the efficiency of the system, and what sort of advantages you think you'll end up getting out of, some of these purpose-built devices that you'll end up integrating into multiple end markets.
Well, really all we're trying to do is make sure that we can scale to very high volume with autonomous vehicles, with humanoid robots, and that we address geopolitical risk, which I think, there's so many companies out there that are asleep at the switch with regard to geopolitical risk. They're like, or they just have their head in the sand and hope nothing bad will happen. I'm way more paranoid than that. I always think of Andy Grove's famous statement, "Only the paranoid survive." Why did he come up with that statement at Intel? Let's think. So I think there's a lot of wisdom in that statement. So we're going to be paranoid and make sure that we can continue to build batteries and robots and AI chips no matter what happens. And companies that don't do that, a bunch of them will cease to exist.
Yeah, remember, all this comes out of necessity. It's not that we want to do it. It's just we have no choice.
Yeah, we built the most advanced lithium refinery in the world, by the way. It's not just like our lithium refinery in Corpus Christi is not just a copy of what others have done. It's an entirely new process that is fundamentally more efficient and more advanced than anything else in the world. The same is true of our cathode refinery here in Austin. And we wish others would build this. Can other people please, for the love of God, help? In the name of all that is holy, can others please build this stuff?
It's not the first time you've asked.
Exactly. This is not the first time you've said something like this.
Like, why do we have to build these things? Why can others not also please, can someone else build these things? It's very hard to build these things. We build them out of desperation, not because nobody else is building lithium refineries and cathode refineries. We're pretty much not just the largest, but also the only lithium refinery and cathode refinery in America. So we're making moves to make sure that no matter what happens, Tesla will prosper.
Great. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for Q&A today. We really appreciate everyone's questions, and we look forward to talking to you next quarter. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
All right, cool.
Damn. That was incredible. That was really good. If anybody can hear me, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Here we are. We can hear you.
That was super exciting. There's so much to unpack that. I wrote down 26 bomb dropping nuggets, as I normally do every call. I don't even know where to begin. And I'm watching the stock price. Once they mentioned the capex and reason for capex, the stock price fell $20. It's like TradFi is like, no, you just got to save money, no reinvestment. During the most transformative time in the history of the planet, I always describe the asteroid that's going to hit this Earth, and that's AI. And they're ready, and they're planning, and they're prepared. And Andy Grove is one of my favorites. I read that book decades ago. Only the Paranoid Survive. I'm so glad he quoted that too. I thought it was fantastic. And the analyst questions, I mean, for God's sake, why do they even allow those people to ask questions? Anyway, enough from me.
I didn't feel they were that bad, but they were worth. I mean, especially the one on the capex was worth it. And I loved, like, at what point Waybuff had explained it the first time, calmly did it a second time without adding any new information. Right? It was there we were. I mean, he did mention the word debt, and I think that may become necessary, especially for the two big infrastructure projects, which are solar cells and the TerraFab. Because, I mean, that's just so gigantic. But let's just talk about what's happening in 2026. So it's 20 billion in 2026, which is the double of what they had budgeted for this year. But this year, in the end, it was a little bit less, right? It was just below 9. So those 20 billion are going into the 6 projects we know, which are, let me just get my notes, which I read it, which is the refinery, the cybercaps, the semi, the new mega, and the 2 Optimus lines, right? So those are the budgeted. Also budgeted is the AI compute and the increased capacity of the lines that will survive, which are not the S and the X, while we talk about that. We had heard rumors about that it would end in June. That seems now to be confirmed. What I absolutely loved is that at multiple occasions, he mentioned the expanded fleet of Robotaxi and Optimus that they keep to themselves. I mean, he mentioned it in terms of why there was an increase in operating cost, right? Just because the personnel that is needed for that, the stuff that's needed cost more money. But he also mentioned it in the CapEx situation. So I thought that was very interesting because it confirms that they are building it out now. Right, they're building it out, and they have a plan how they will build it out over the next 12 months. So I love that. I also love that they are considering other options once it comes to the big infrastructure projects, which are not for 2026. Right, 2026 we have our plan, we have the route to these new 6 factories and whatever else is coming. So I was absolutely happy with it. I have to say, I have notes everywhere, but I think I've said the most important ones.
So very clear. Wait. Isn't it very, very clear, guys, though, that this is a robotaxi, transportation as a service business? They are no longer going to create new cars that's going to be drivable. You know, I mean, they can say all they want. I mean, clearly there's still a plan B if they can't do it. But if production for cybercabs is slow, as he said many times, then they're going to expand to these cities or states. And even if the others don't catch up, there's enough, he thinks, to be able to roll out the cybercabs as robotaxis. I don't know how. Did you guys hear anything else different than I did about that?
He did mention it would, putting people's cars in the fleet would earn more than the actual cost of the car, the lease. He did mention that again. He's mentioned that before. He didn't give the timeline of when people would be able to do that, but he did reiterate it, which means he can't turn back after mentioning it like 5 times.
Also, he did mention that we should expect headcount of Tesla employees in the factories up. Remember, we had earlier a discussion on whether we would be in this annual February to April moment where he is laying people off. I don't think that's on the table at the moment. I think they are really ramping up in all senses.
Just to put Tesla's capex spend into perspective, and Herbert and I actually did a show on this recently, but Amazon is spending in Q3 spent $35 billion in a quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nobody spends as efficiently as Tesla,
Exactly.
And I mentioned
lean
Meta,
and mean.
and I mentioned Meta planning 135 billion this year.
Yeah.
I mean, the capex
Nick
spend,
loves it.
yeah, the capex, the relative capex by these companies, the spend, it shows you how much crazy waste there is. And I think it was Ron Barron also described so many times, he's been doing this for 50, 70 years or something, but he said he's never seen such ability to turn capital into cash flow back into more cash flow. I can't remember the exact way he made it up, but it was really impressive. Anyway,
Jeff, you sounded like you weren't too thrilled.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, I'm thrilled with what they're doing over a multi-year time frame. But for a 90-day earnings call, it felt like it was all over the place a bit in terms of the conversation. Again, there's this need, since Tesla looks so far out, it seems like there's this desire. Let's talk about terafabs that are 4 or 5 years out. Let's talk about other things, when honestly would be better to have a discussion, a majority of the discussion of last quarter, current quarter, next quarter, and then leave the strategy like what we had an investor day. We have all these other venues to go through the strategy and the product announcements for the company. Even Tesla does this. I don't understand why we say we're spending this capex to increase factory capacity. We're hiring people, but we don't give any semblance of a volume commit. I didn't understand. I mean, really, the only statement that's in the earnings deck is we're going to maximize, utilization, which is what basically is kind of a throwaway comment. So I would have liked to have seen, okay, are we going to be, what's going on with unit volume for the year? It would be interesting to understand that. And then on this capex spend, I just think it was introduced in a way that just it was just basically, it's introduced in the way when hyperscalers and big companies like this introduce and throw a statement out there like this, and then they don't say, well, we're going to do this, and we think these businesses are going to be, exponentially more gross margin and accretive to the bottom line over this time frame. It leaves it to be kind of just whacked around by the analysts. So anyway, I didn't hear enough about direct responses in terms of now the doubling the robo taxis every month. That was a fairly definitive statement. That's one I think we can hang our hats on, and that was one of the only things I think you could hang your hat on. And then I think we spend too much time on the SNX in the beginning. I don't understand. Like, we grew 38% in FSD subscriptions over a year, which is kind of a big deal for a SaaS business that's ready to take off. And we spent less time accentuating that point of our SaaS business is going to go through the roof. And we spent a lot of time on retiring, again, a product announcement. So anyway, I just had some constructive criticism on that. But overall, I mean, I love what we're building. I love the products we're building. I love where we're going. Just more of a 30, 60, 90 conversation.
Jeff, why would you expect this call to be any better than every call that's come before it? I mean, Tesla just don't have a communications skill that, we would expect a large public company to have. They just don't. To have Elon's method of communication, we understand it, but it's not going to be a corporate communication. I couldn't agree more about the quarterly call. This is not a standard quarterly call, but my takeaway was Lars Moretti actually said the one thing that I'm trying to come into people. Tesla is the only company with the infrastructure capable of supporting, an end-to-end robotaxi across the United States. An issue that nobody understands is so determinative, I should say. Anyway, I've got very bad communication.
Yeah. Great point, though, Larry. But yeah, it's hard to hear you. But fantastic point. Thank you. Yeah, you're right.
I'll just kind of agree with Jeff. It's not that to me that we should expect something different for them. It's like there's an opportunity here for them to seize on, and they're not even focusing on the great work they did. I think it's a disservice to their employees who own shares in the company. It's a disservice to all the people that are in the front line for what's the future. And I agree, they spent way too much time on SNX. They didn't highlight to me what the most important things are. They had no excitement in their voice. Like that deck screamed, we're excited, we're ready. You know, the future is here. We're on the precipice of this. We're ready to go. But the call screamed, yeah, we don't want to be here. We're going to phone it in. That's what it screamed. And it's just like it's just a missed opportunity. Like they're missing the layups. Like these are the easy shots that they're not taking. It's just kind of crazy to me. But I will say that Elon was very excited to talk about Micron, and Micron's up more in the after hours than what Tesla is. So, it's funny, full circle. It's what we were talking about before the call started. How I was talking about is the chips, and then from there it's memory and the data centers and energy. Well, look at Micron. Elon was very clear about it. Energy, chips, and memory. I mean,
this is where Elon's head is, right? Elon is always thinking about the future. He's figured, he says to himself, FSE solved. I've got Ashok taking care of it. It looks like
he didn't say that once on the call.
Well, he has said it several times. I guess in his mind, he's not going to, it's already done.
He's
Ashok
the
is rolling
king of
this out.
repeating
He feels
himself, and
comfortable.
he couldn't repeat that one line on the earnings call.
Yeah,
I think Davos not here.
I think
guys,
why
don't we do our own Tesla call? Why don't we do a Tesla call, a faux Tesla call, and we do the call?
I'm with you. Let's do it.
I'm
Who's
serious.
the Elon here?
So I think this call wasn't about quarterly numbers. Okay, what's in the deck is in the deck. People can read that. They were giving us the roadmap for the next 3 to 5 years.
I agree.
It was
why
a
do we spend half
manifesto
the
for
call
Tesla's
on it?
AI and autonomy empire. That's it. We're giving up on cars. We want cars to drive themselves. And we want robots to build shit all over the planet all at the same time. And yes, we're going to build a terafab. And yes, we're going to build solar factories. And yes, we've built the best lithium factory in the world. I mean, they're laying out stuff that nobody is focused on. But what they're focused on is a way bigger picture than, like, just compare for a second Tesla to any other company on the planet. I don't care if you go to a car company or a Chinese robot company or anything else. There is nothing like it. CERN, tell us what you think.
Well, just let's focus on SNX for a second. I know Nick doesn't want to, but let me tell you how important this is. Let me tell you how important this is, right? So SNX, 50,000 vehicles a year. Let's say the ASP is $100,000. Right, that's $5 billion in revenue. Okay, so not bad. Nice little business. If you sell 1 million Optimus, produce 1 million Optimus in that same space, they make S and X. Okay, and if the revenue per year on Optimus is $100,000, that's a $100 billion business. You just 20x'd that manufacturing, the value of that manufacturing space. Further, the margins on Optimus are going to be massive compared to S and X margins. They probably 50x the gross margin of product coming out of that manufacturing line. That is why the S and X announcement is so important.
They didn't say that.
They didn't say that at all.
Well,
And number two, Cybertruck is going to become an autonomous vehicle. That was a fantastic comment, and I was saying that earlier.
Yeah.
I think we're shilling right now. I'm gonna be honest.
No, these are things that were said, but nobody picks up on it. Like what Herbert mentioned, that using the Cybertruck, like they already have how many, 50 of them at SpaceX right now, but now have them running around carrying stuff for contractors. If you've ever done any type of construction work, you know where builders lose most of their time? Going to the hardware store. Imagine say, hey, I need 10 pieces of plywood in the next hour. Instead of them losing 2 hours going to the store, it just comes in an hour. Like these are things that nobody's really thinking about, and I think it's huge. And now the hardware stores put stuff in your truck. So Herbert, good call out. But these are things,
Jeff,
one of the 50 nuggets that are completely going to be ignored.
Jeff, look at the 5 analyst questions, okay? R&D spend, humanoid robot competition, constraints in memory, XAI investment, and large capital spend. So that's the question. So they have to answer it.
Yeah.
Why they're doing it.
Yeah, no, it's just more of like when you introduced and that's a bomb when you're going to double your capex. There should be, I think, a very kind of healthy rollout of what we're doing, why we're doing it, and generate some and give some real stats. Like if we're going to build this robo-taxi fleet, what do we expect in miles in revenue by the end of the year? Like some sort of window. Can we get a window on robo-taxi revenue for the year? And Optimus felt like a bit of a push out. If it's just production start by the end of the year, that's the end of the year. That's not an earlier part of 2026. But anyway, like they could have.
He said in a few months for Optimus.
He said end of the year.
I wrote down in a few months.
I think he's going to unveil it.
I was on the same call.
It's unveiled in a few months, but production starts at the end of the year.
For Optimus 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that felt what they could have done with the Optimus commentary really quickly is just, all right, that's fine, but we're going to produce thousands of them this year as part of that effort to get to production. We think we're going to deploy this many, like get a number out there. I think that's something they're in the window. They could have committed.
And he's already saying that we're as lucky as the smallest part, and so he's probably not saying a number anymore.
I know exactly what he's. By the way, I know exactly what he's
yes,
saying.
You do.
I feel him on that. But yeah, like I said, there is a lot to be like this. There's no company that has a portfolio like this company has. I'm just more of trying to think of a 90-day earnings call. What do you want to articulate? What should we expect for the entire year? This is kind of your first call for the year. What should we expect in the first quarter, first half? I think we got some things, like I said, with RoboTaxi doubling month on month, but kind of looking for a little bit more. When are we going to get a full unsupervised city? Where is that? And then what are the next ones? So I think there's a couple of things I would have wished they would have gone through. But again, and then where's this cash going to come from? If we're going to go, there was an interesting question about the run rate of CapEx. Is the run rate moving to 20 billion or not? Because now if we've moved to 20 billion, or do we have two years of runway roughly on what? It's an interesting thing, but I think there's multiple ways I think they could finance. It's not all a lot of cash.
Yeah, I think that I'm gonna jump into that. So at the moment we have 44 billion of cash. Then he made a very thought through remark that the robotaxi fleet will have redundant revenue against which it is really easy to get loans, that they're already talking to banking partners to offset that with loans. So I thought that was really important. And then the third point was that the infrastructure play, so that's the solar cell fab and the chips fab, outside of these 20 billion, that those need longer term plans, and they're either debt or other solutions are the point of coming out of it. So yes, I do believe there will be, I mean, we should all remember that Tesla is nearly zero debt, right? And now it's sitting on 44 billion. So financing this all either through their own means or by offsetting certain recurring revenues, or by debt structures which can be difficult, can be different from getting a bank loan. I mean, they will obviously, they're very smart at that. I'm not worried of where the money comes from. I'm zero worried about that. And other than the 20 billion for this year, none of this is for 2026.
Guys, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, so I just no or yes?
It's very crackly.
It's crackling.
Okay.
We hear you fine, but crackling.
Okay.
Where's your mic?
Sorry.
Where's your microphone? Where's your microphone?
It's in my ears. I'm in a. Hold on.
Call Alexander.
Better?
Oh yeah, way better.
Better.
I can't hear you guys.
Yes, way better.
All right, never mind. I was just, if you can hear me, all I just wanted to say is that I've been forecasting this increase in capex for 2 years or 2.5 years. Was particularly about it when Gary wanted to buy the shares back. This is coming. This has been coming for a while. I saw it coming, for this time, and it's going to become. We're going to have to put more and more money in, particularly if we're going to build a fab. So, but we're going to see a very significant cash flow from robotaxis. It's going to be an incredible cash flow. It's kind of cash flow we haven't seen from auto companies. So, I think from a time perspective, they've well within the means of planning it. I think they just communicated it really poorly. Anyway, I'll sign off now and just listen.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate you dialing in while you're traveling. Appreciate
Travel
it.
safe, Larry.
And I think one other point that we haven't really discussed yet is that the limiting factor is not batteries anymore, it's chips. And that Tesla just feels obligated to do it themselves, as they did for lithium, as they're doing for refinery, as they're doing for so many other things. And I think we can very confidently now predict that there is going to be a chips factory.
Yeah.
This is going to be far more difficult, I think, to pull off than their efforts in battery manufacturing. I'm not saying they can't do it. It's just when I'm handicapping these things, and like, it's one of those things where I agree with the strategy. Like, you have to do this if you feel you're going to be constrained. There's something you have to do. It's more of, I think it's going to be a great negotiating tactic with other companies of like, look, I'm going to start making my own stuff, or if I can get a great deal from you and in confirmed supply, can I be the front of the line? I'd rather buy it from you. So I think this is a good thing for Tesla, I think, overall, but handicapping the success and like pinning a date and getting this terafab to real capacity, I think it's a far more difficult effort, quite frankly, than battery manufacturing, although Tesla's gone after some advanced tech in battery manufacturing. But I go back to the capex. So we're $100 billion a year revenue company, and now we're going to double capex. So when are we going to be a $200 billion revenue company? When are we going to be a $300 billion revenue company? And I think they could have laid out a couple of things and saying, hey, look, this is forward looking, but this is how we're thinking about it. We know we need to make these investments because of X, Y, and Z. But it really just like left everything to like, almost as like, we're doing all these things and things are going to be ramping up and going, but there wasn't like, this is what we think is going to happen with the economics of the company as a result of these investments. So anyway, if you're going to go there and talk through that, I think it would be good for them to spell that out a little bit better, put a window around it. But anyway.
And just to add to that real quick, briefly, I don't think people are missing everything you guys are talking about. I know we've said that, like all these like nuggets or whatever, the vision, people get that. But without the context of what Jeff is talking about, it is a moving target that you never get to, or that analysts and investors or institutional investors can't really do anything with. They can't sink their teeth into. So it just becomes, once again, the boy who cried wolf, who Elon himself has said that he doesn't want to do that anymore. But it's the ever moving of the goalpost. So I think that's the problem. Everyone believes that they're going to get there one day, but when is that day and when does it start?
There's someone that says, not sure Jeff understands how Tesla does business and is probably too conservative to be a Tesla investor. Thank you. My,
See you later, Jeff.
14th year investing. It's new to me. You're right. But like the way that CERN, I think CERN really framed up the SX to Optimus transition in one sentence, and it's impactful. And then you kind of like, you move on. But anyway, I still think this company has the most exciting portfolio in the business. It's more of like, all right, what are we saying on these calls now? To me, I left the call with, okay, gross margins are going in the right direction. Now for cars and for autonomy with cars, energy, they said it's going to be under stress, which I think I understand why that would be the case. But gross margins overall moving in the right direction. We're going to invest more, and we're going to be, doubling our output on autonomy. So I would have liked a definitive statement on autonomy and these near-term milestones. Are we, in terms of are we gonna, like, what's the confidence on getting to these first half milestones? But we got what we got, and if we really start seeing doubling in February and March, I mean that is it. I mean we're off to the races. You don't have to wait till the end of the quarter. That starts happening.
I mean, I heard a lot of confidence in FSD, robotaxi rollout, infrastructure. The reason we were doing it was mostly for infrastructure and being doubly cautious. We've learned a lot from a large scale. We have the numbers and metrics to make that decision. I didn't hear anything that concerned me about robotaxi rollout, which is the most important thing. And then the confidence they have that cybercabs will be used for autonomous driving. I don't know, each of them said it some way or the other, not just Elon, not just Lars, not just Ashok, even Vaibhav. They have all said some statement that was referring to, we're moving to a transportation as service, and we're now going to stop making cars. We're going to turn the Cybertruck into autonomous. We're going to turn the SNX into a robot company, factory pilot lines. I mean, that's all good news. That's the most important thing to focus on.
I find it interesting, historically, Wall Street loves stock buybacks. They love capital light companies. They tend to freak out when companies invest in CapEx, right? Because they want free cash flow. But if you look at what's happening in the world with AI, obviously a leader in AI is going to have to spend. And that's what we're seeing right now is a spending race amongst the hyperscalers. Just to put this in perspective, if Tesla does 20 billion in CapEx next year, so call it 5 billion a quarter. When was Microsoft spending 5 billion a quarter in CapEx? Last quarter, they did 19 billion in Q3 of 2025. They first hit 5 billion in Q1 of 2021, not that long ago. When did Amazon start spending 5 billion a quarter? Right? It wasn't that long ago either. It was fourth quarter of 2019, they hit 5 billion. What did Amazon spend last quarter? 35 billion in one quarter. When did Google hit 5 billion in quarterly CapEx? Okay, it was all the way back in 2018, second quarter of 2018. Or actually, sorry, first quarter, they jumped up to 7 billion in the first quarter of 2018. Now they're doing about 24 billion a quarter in CapEx. All of these companies are increasing their CapEx over time. As investors, you want them to. Okay, one of the criticisms these days about Apple is they're not spending. Where's the innovation? Where's the next product going to come from? We want Tesla to spend massively on CapEx. And so if they spend 5 billion per quarter next year, we want that to get to 10 and eventually to 20 billion a quarter, just like all the other major tech companies. Now, Tesla obviously is going to get way more for their money than everybody else. They already have. That's clear. Right? And the show that Herbert and I did last week on that, I think makes that really clear. So I just find it interesting that Wall Street's kind of freaking out about the CapEx spend. To me, it's nothing but a positive. Now, to Jeff's point, it would be nice if perhaps they gave us some guidance in terms of the revenue that comes along with that. Right? But all Wall Street has to do is put some models together and they'll see. The timing, obviously, is still a little bit uncertain with respect to robotaxi. Now, I guess they gave us the clearest guidance they have yet in terms of doubling the fleet every month. As Jeff said, that's something we can hang our head on. I take that from Elon still with a little bit of grain of salt, because he's made other statements before about we're going to be in 50% of the city, 50% of the U.S. population by the end of 2025. That didn't happen. I think now he said that's the case for 2026. I think he said 25 to 50% of the U.S. population this year. So the goalposts are moving a little bit. But when you're developing technology that's never been seen before, you have to expect some movement of the goalposts.
Yeah.
Can
I add one here? Can I add one here? Because we also should talk about things that will, in the very short term, have negative effects. So on February 14th, they're going to stop selling FSD. There will probably be a surge up to the next 2 weeks for people still purchasing FSD, but then it will move to a subscription model. So by pure mathematics of, being able to sell at $8,000, which increases substantially the car margin, FSD to now going to a model where people pay $99, maybe later on more per month, will have a direct impact, an immediate impact, second half of February on car average selling prices and cash flow. So I think, we should be aware of that, probably smoothen out a couple of months later, but we'll see it in the margin, because $8,000 on an average car of how much is the average now? 28, 30, 35? I didn't
41.
make the math. Yeah, 41, so 20%, right? So they will fall to the side.
Did you guys hear? Did he say that 1.1 million FSE is that 70%?
Yes, 70% of those, of the current 1.1 million, 70% of those were upfront purchases. So they were obviously at different prices. Between, I think it started at 3, the highest it was 15, now it's 8. And that's going to last. And and that's part of
Is
the average.
770 instead of 17?
No, 70.
That's what I thought I heard.
So that's
And now we're moving to
770,000 purchased FSD.
Wow.
And that's exactly what I said was why they're killing the $8,000 sub, because you're not going to get to 10 million charging $8K up front.
Yeah.
It's simple mathematics. That's why the whole report was written differently, showing that. And especially when you consider only 330,000 are doing the $100 a month, it's actually very low.
Yeah.
But
I was going to say, I feel
yeah,
that's a little concerning not concerning, that's the wrong word, but like they need to do something about that.
Yeah.
Because obviously the people who can afford it are buying it outright. Like I bought it outright. I'm sure all you guys bought it outright. But clearly the people that we really need for scale, they're the ones that aren't paying $100 a month.
And Nick as well, there is an education issue. 99% of the humans don't even know what it is. So, and they haven't pushed it because they weren't maybe confident enough in it. I think that will all change in 2026.
So I think, Jeff, you are right. I found the deck to be very light on any forward guidance. Usually they would say we're going to plan to double vehicle production next year, something like that. Very few, just generic comments, except for the $20 billion in spend in R&D. And then during this call as well, very few, except for maybe we expect to go into 10 plus cities or whatever numbers he said. Other than that, very few guidance of volumes, numbers, expectations. Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a guidance for cities for robotaxi, so like, give some credit there.
Yeah,
and there's a projection on miles. It could have been like, hey, we're going to be increasing capex spend, as we go into these other ventures, and they could have probably left it. If you're not going to pair it up with, this is what we think is going to happen in terms of utilizing the capacity. We're putting this capacity in the factory. This is how we're going to utilize it. This is where we think how revenue expansion may play out. And then it becomes a tougher conversation. So why put the exact capex number out and not put anything around what you're doing with it? But I go back to the portfolio and what they're building. And to me, I love adding solar. I love these things. They are so on point, given where things are going. It's just more of like painting around, like, okay, what does this mean now for the earnings of the company? And then really this 38.5% growth in FSD. What was the driver, and what do you think that would be throughout the rest of this year? Because man, if you've driven this latest FSD 14.2224, like the nag is almost gone. Like this thing is really an unbelievable experience. Also, I would have been interested to know how, if FSD is a driver and robotaxis are a driver, like how are we just going to get more butts and seats? In any commentary on that, I think would have been helpful. The earnings deck, the content in the earnings deck, I found it to be very useful.
Yeah, this is the best earnings deck they've ever created, in my opinion.
It was like a great script. It was like a great a
That they
manuscript.
deviated from.
Yeah, it was very very well done.
There is one other little nugget that we didn't mention, but the robotaxi tracker says the fleet's 241. Elon said it's 500 across Austin and the Bay Area. I think that's big. Do you believe that 500?
Yeah,
I believe what the CEO said. If the CEO says an
During
like
peak
an
times.
actual,
Yeah.
yeah,
And Ashok confirmed it too when he said
During
that.
peak times.
So they're already at 20% of the scale of Waymo, and Waymo's worth $115 billion. But Waymo will never make $1 profit in their entire future. So I think that's very interesting. Something controversial to say, I think Waymo will get a pin stuck in it in the next 3 years. Who agrees?
Oh yeah, I've been saying that for a while.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
It was interesting for me. Elon said a couple of times that a couple of things are underestimated. One is solar and what Tesla's going to do there.
Yeah.
Right. And the second thing was robotaxi as it relates to customers being able to put their own vehicles in the fleet. He made the point. There's been a lot of chatter on X lately about, oh, that'll never happen. You know, liability's too great, blah, blah, blah. You can't clean the cars. You can't verify them. You can't do this and that. And Elon again made a point to say, no, this is a key part of our plan.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, if you own the Tesla, I lease it, so I'm not part of this, and I can't talk for myself. But if you own a Tesla and haven't bought FSD, you have 2 weeks left, and that will be it. And so if you believe in this, if you see the technology, and if you believe in this, you had your confirmation that this will be worthwhile.
But my question is, do I go out and buy an X now, or what do I do? Like that was
collector's car. It's a collector's.
And I actually felt that Elon was sad to let them go. Because I mean, think about how much the S exactly, and then the X for a family car, and you felt him. I had an X, I loved it, but honestly, the new Y I feel is as good for half the price. So there is no comparison. How much better the Y is in value for money.
Well,
the new X is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have an X now for a long time. It's never given me a problem, so I can't ever part with it. And now I won't. So it's just, if anybody has one and the second-hand values are probably low after 6 or 7 years, it's worth holding on to just for the gull-wing doors itself.
And I want to end, because I have to then get off, but I want to end my contribution here. I didn't hear by far as much criticizable things as Jeff and other people did. I found this was, first of all, I was delighted that Wyboff was very clear, because I've been, complaining about this for a long time. And I really love how he laid it out. He laid it out twice. It was clearly understandable. And I think in earnings calls, I hear you about presentations and all the rest, but it's what the CFO says that is really crucial. It's because those are, he's prepared to interpret the past numbers and give guidance forward to the next ones. And he was actually the most precise in the whole earnings call. All the others were more on the theories and on the plans, but he was really very precise. And I loved how good he was. And I think it was also very clear how committed they are to the solar cell fabs and to the chips fab.
Terafab.
And actually the Terafab, yeah. And Bloomberg just did a huge article on it, because that seems to shock the market. I mean, it doesn't shock us. We heard him in November talk about it at the earnings call, but it also seems to now be decided, right? It's done. This is the next goal. That's what we're planning for in terms of finances, not 2026, but it has to be done within 3 to 4 years, because if not, we're running into a shortage. And those solar cells are going to be sold to SpaceX and going to go up there and have our data centers working the way we want them to. So I was, on big plans and on current numbers, I was very satisfied with this call.
Good. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Alexandra. First power panel, guys. This was a great. Appreciate everybody spending time to give us their insights. Great call as well, as usual. So we got Nick Gibbs, we got James from Invest Answers, you got CERN, you got Jeff, you got Alexandra, we had Larry here as well. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks,
Thank you, Herbert.
Thanks, everyone.
Pleasure.
Bye.